really come out of it. It has not led to convictions. And there are other cases also which have been filed against Manish Sisodia by BJP leaders such as Manoj Tiwari. But it remains to be seen whether prosecution is, like I said before, a preliminary inquiry report is filed, whether an FIR is filed, and whether prosecution will be able to prove its case in the court of law, because that is the last, that is the last place where a person is deemed to be guilty or innocent. Now, as far as today's developments are concerned, it remains to be seen whether Sisodia will, it is,
All right,
whether
Rupashi, I'm
it will
sorry, I'm
be.
going to have to interrupt you. We're going to be bringing in Akash Sharma, who is live at Sisodia's residence. Akash, tell us what you're seeing. I believe there are 4 to 5 CBI officials there.
Aisha, you're not audible, but first of all, let me show you the visuals. This is the place. This is the official residence of Manish Sisodia, who is the Deputy Chief Minister. As of now, you can see media personals, and also let me tell you that in the morning we got to know that CBI officers have reached this particular the destination, and as to they are investigating a case, but which is this case, and also in which case they are investigating, and also have reached this particular venue, we still don't know. This was informed by Deputy Chief Minister himself, and at this point in time, we are learning that CBI officers are very much inside the house, and they are very much inside the house, and they are investigating a particular case. Also, let me tell you, talking about the developments, we have seen in the past that how LG has recommended a CBI probe into the excise policy that was implemented in November 2021. Also, leaders from Aam Aadmi Party who were anticipating that Manish Sisodia would be arrested, and this is in line with the developments because they were expecting that CBI officials would be arresting Manish Sisodia after Satinjan. Satinjan has also been arrested by ED, and he is being investigated in a different case. But at this point in time, this is the biggest development where we are learning that CBI officers have reached this particular house, Manish Sisodia's house, and we are waiting for the official information as of now as to what is the case and which case they are investigating as of now.
All right, is it likely that we are essentially going to be seeing the CBI at Sisodia's house for a long duration, or do we think that this is going to be a short in and out? Akash, can you hear me?
Yes, Aisha. Please repeat your question.
So essentially, can you tell us about what else we're going to be seeing today when it comes to the CBI searching Mr. Sisodia's home? Do we think they're going to be there for a long period of time?
So Aisha, again, you're not audible, but let me tell you that, just a few minutes back, we have seen that even Arvind Kejriwal has tweeted, and, he has basically posted a publication from foreign media, and he has said that at a time when foreign media is actually, talking about the education work and education system in the national capital, Manish Sisodia's residence has been, in fact, officers have reached to this particular destination. As to, we still don't know as to what is the main reason as to why CBI officers are here, but as of now, Aam Aadmi Party has claimed that CBI officers have reached to Manish Sisodia's place. We are showing you the visuals also. You can see the media personnel deployed at this particular time, and also, if I can sneak peek into this particular gate, you can see that at this point in time, there are a lot of media personnel, but we haven't got any sort of clarification as to how many people are there inside this particular house, and also what is the case that they are investigating at this point in time.
All right, Akash, thank you for that information. Stay with us. I also want to bring in Shehzad Poonawala from the BJP. Mr. Poonawala, thank you so much for joining us. Essentially, the CBI is now at Manish Sisodia's home. Give us your first reaction, please.
You see, I don't want to react on the CBI reaching anybody's house. They are doing whatever they have to as per law. But having said that, Aisha, you'd remember that Meenakshi Lekhi ji, Sambit Patra ji and myself raised several questions about the liquor scam that took place under the nose of Arvind Kejriwal. And the fact that the Kejriwal government in fact reverted back to the old policy, scrapping the new policy, shows that they admit that there was corruption and then they did a U-turn in order to save themselves from the CBI probe. The Chief Secretary's report was the basis on which the LG has asked for a CBI probe. And what does that Chief Secretary report say? It says that 30 crores of EMD money for Zone 1 licensee of the airport zone was refunded without any due law to be, followed. Apart from that, 144 crore waiver was given to the liquor mafia. Apart from that, a rupees 50 per crate discount to international liquor companies was given without following the procedures and the norms. Laws and rules were violated by allowing manufacturing companies to come into retail, blacklisted companies to come into retail, for example, Khao Gali, and show cause notices were issued from the same excise department on which the Delhi government took no action. And therefore, there seems to be enough evidence to suggest that there was a quid pro quo that took place and a liquor scam took place, perhaps to fund the Punjab elections for the Aam Aadmi Party. These are specific questions we are asking. Unfortunately, Mr. Kejriwal hasn't answered any specific questions on the liquor scam or on the Hawala scam of Satyendra Jain. You would remember that Mr. Satyendra Jain is in jail for the last 2 months and has got no relief from courts. In fact, the courts have said he has a criminal background. The courts have even said that he prima facie established that he is indulged in Hawala transactions. Every time we ask him specific questions, Mr. Kejriwal does his whataboutery and victimhood card. He goes on to some other topic. I'd request, using your platform, please answer the specific questions, because you have come out and said that these are Kattar Imandar. If there is Kattar Imandari, why isn't the court giving them relief in Satyendra Jain's matter? Why is it that they scrapped the new policy and went back to the old liquor policy? We hope that specific questions will be answered, but unfortunately, Mr. Kejriwal is an expert at ABCD. A for advertising, B for bhashtachar, C for cover-up of corruption, and D for deviation.
All right, Mr. Poonawala, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your first reaction to this entire situation. We have some more breaking news coming in right now. Now, this is according to CBI sources. Raids are being carried out at multiple locations in connection with an RC in the excise policy case. Now, 21 locations are being searched, including the locations of 4 public servants. Now, I'm crossing over to my colleague Arnima to give us more details. Arnima, over to you.
So these are, locations, 21 locations that are being searched by CBI, and RC was registered. They've carried out the preliminary inquiry after the Lieutenant Governor asked CBI to look into alleged anomalies in the excise policy. After completing their preliminary inquiry, they have gone ahead and registered an RC, which is a regular case, an FIR, post which 4 public servants, including the Delhi government minister Manish Sisodia and then Excise Commissioner E. Gopi Krishnan. Their premises are being searched at this moment. Total 21 locations, out of which 4 premises belong to public servants. And they're all being searched to look for evidence in connection with what CBI believes were fraudulent transactions in the excise policy.
All right, Arnima, can you also tell us about whether this, essentially, do we know any details specifically of the locations that are being raided in connection to 4 public servants? Do we have details about those locations?
I just told you 4 locations, including premises of the former Excise Commissioner and the current minister in the Delhi government, the number 2, effectively Manish Sisodia. Their premises are being raided. The other 2 public servants who are being searched, their premises being searched, are also connected with the excise department. They dealt with the files regarding this matter. Mid-level officials and their premises are being searched. Other premises include those who were allegedly favored. That is the allegation, that is the charge, that in bringing about the revised excise policy, undue favor, undue advantage was given to some in lieu of money. So those private players are also being searched, but most importantly, the minister is under the scanner.
All right, now, Arnima, one more follow-up question for you. Essentially, all right, we're going to try to establish that connection once more, but essentially, this is the situation. The CBI team is at Sisodia's home. There are, and as per CBI sources, there are also raids being carried out at multiple other locations, essentially 21 locations. Now, I'm crossing over to my colleague Anshul Singh to give us more details on this. Anshul, over to you.
So yes, these raids have started approximately 8 a.m. since approximately 8 a.m. this morning, and what we are being told that these raids are in connection with the new excise policy that was implemented by the Delhi government. Now, remember, just a month ago was the time when the new LG had recommended a CBI probe into the manner in which the Delhi government had given out those licenses. So yes, it is a big point of discrepancy that has come up, and these raids are going across in approximately 21 locations is what we are being told. Not only the residents of Manish Sisodia, but also the private players. In fact, the people who got those licenses and the manner in which they got those licenses is also being investigated by the CBI as of now. And since the time that the raid has started, we are seeing that the political blame game has already started. Manish Sisodia has already put out a tweet where he has said that we are not afraid of any sort of investigation, but yes, the BJP is trying to malign the image of Aam Aadmi Party, the image that the Aam Aadmi Party has put forward of being a very clean clean and corrupt free party, and that image is being maligned by the BJP. We have seen that the BJP taking on Aam Aadmi Party, be it in this not only in this case but also in the manner in which classes were built by the Delhi government. Also, just a few days ago, BJP MP Manoj Tiwari had done a press conference where he had taken on the Aam Aadmi Party government yet again, this time regarding the manner in which the CAG report has not been tabled in the Delhi Assembly for the last 4 years. So yes, the BJP has been putting out continuous allegations on the Aam Aadmi Party that they are involved in corrupt practices, be it in the education department, be it in the DTC or the Delhi Jal Board. So yes, it remains to be seen what comes out of these raids. But yes, these raids are going on in 21 locations is what we have been told. And Manish Sisodia is still in his residence as the raids continue. So yes, it remains to be seen how does the Aam Aadmi Party now tackle this situation where many fingers are being raised on the senior ministers of the Aam Aadmi Party. Now remember, this is not the first minister of the Aam Aadmi Party who is being targeted by central agencies. We have seen Satyendra Jain, who is still in the custody of ED, in fact still is inside the jails. So yes, the Aam Aadmi Party is definitely on the back foot in the manner in which things have been cropping up against their minister. So yes, it remains to be seen how does the Aam Aadmi Party now tackle this very, very critical situation that has arisen this morning, Aisha.
Now we're also joined by my colleague Akash, who is at the National Capital at the residence of Manish Sisodia, where the raid is being conducted. The raid started there and they're going across 21 locations. Let me go across to Akash for more details. Akash, when did the raid start and what are the recoveries made so far? We know this is in connection with the discrepancies in the excise policy. So definitely they are looking at the money trail, which they believe were exchanged through hands, and that there were kickbacks that were received. Manish Sisodia on his side says, many cases have been piled up on me in the past, but no evidence has been found. I've come out clean. So he is very confident, and he's in fact welcomed the CBI with open arms.
Right, and Shilpa, 21 locations, this is what we are learning, that 21 locations as of now are being searched, and this is one house. This is the official residence of Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia, and we are learning that just few minutes back some CBI officers reached this particular destination, and they are basically, have come here in connection with the excise case, and we are also learning that an FIR has already been registered in this case, where it was recommended that CBI should probe this particular implementation of the policy that was implemented in November 2021. This is not the first time when CBI is basically investigating any case, because just a few months back we have seen that CBI officer, it was a different case, but CBI officers were very much here. But at this point in time, this is the major development of this morning, where we have learned that CBI officers have reached the residence of Manish Sisodia, who is the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. And also, let me tell you that, just a few days back, we saw that how, in fact, Arvind Kejriwal mentioned it several times that now central government is basically looking for some case where they can arrest Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia. And also, we know that how Satyendra Jain was arrested in a case, and now Manish Sisodia, he is the second, minister in Delhi who has under radar, who has been under radar, and also, talking about this particular case, we had reported this earlier that how, LG has recommended CBI probe just because he found some financial quid pro quo, and also it was alleged that Manish Sisodia, at a time when he was the excise minister, basically gave benefits to his near and dears, and, Delhi government gave some sort of relaxation despite the existing norms and violating all those norms. These were initial allegations, and at this point in time, we are learning that 21 locations are being searched by CBI, and one such location is this particular residence, which is the official residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. Also, Manish Sisodia is very much, was very much named in the recommendation that was made, by the Lieutenant Governor, and this is what I'm saying, that Aam Aadmi Party has in fact mentioned it several times that central government is misusing central agencies, and also they are saying that methodology has changed now, because now initially it used to happen that first the agencies used to investigate and then they used to arrest people, but now they first arrest a person who they want to investigate, and then they investigate the case. And there are several other allegations as well. And Aam Aadmi Party is not the only party. We have seen in the past that how Congress is alleging that central government is nowadays misusing central agency. In fact, ED was very much mentioned. We have seen in the past that how opposition parties mentions this, that ED is one organization that is being misused by central government on a regular basis, and now CBI has basically reached this particular destination. This is the major development of the national capital, where CBI officers are basically inside this particular house and are basically investigating the excise policy, which was basically initially it was recommended that CBI should probe this particular policy because there were violation of the main rules and regulation and all the violation related to the Excise Act. Shilpa.
Well, yes, indeed, Akash. As you're rightly pointing out, Arvind Kejriwal had earlier said that he fully expects central agencies to be coming knocking on their doors any minute now. So this is not a raid that they were completely caught unawares by. Now, Akash, these raids are going on at 21 locations. They started just a short while ago. We know that 4 public servants are being raided currently. Also, Excise Commissioner Gopal Krishnan. And as you're pointing out, now the fact is that perhaps these raids are being done to recover proof and evidence. And as Kejriwal had said, now the methodology has changed, where first the raids are done and then you try to gather evidence. So has any evidence been procured so far, or even in the past, which has led to these raids?
So, you have mentioned Arva Gopi Krishnan. Arva Gopi Krishnan used to be the excise commissioner at that time, and just a few days back we learned that how, Arva Gopi Krishnan has been suspended because of the, all those financial quid pro quos, and, LG recommended his suspension. But at this point in time, this is the major development. Also, talking about the evidences, we don't know as to what CBI officers have got as of now, but, search is being conducted, and this is not the only place where they are searching. 21 locations. This is what we have learned, and also let me tell you that we are anticipating a political war.
Akash, request you to stay with us because we have some breaking news coming in. Do stay with us, Akash. The CBI has filed an FIR in this excise case. So an FIR has been filed. 21 locations are being searched, 4 public servants are being raided, and then Excise Commissioner E. Gopi Krishnan. And those details have been brought to us by Arunima. And as you heard Akash telling you, Gopi Krishnan had also been suspended for some discrepancies when it came to that policy. So Excise Commissioner E. Gopi Krishnan being raided, the CBI has filed an FIR. Now going across to my colleague Arunima, who brings us these details. Arunima, right now we know 4 public servants are being searched, 21 raids currently on in different locations, and also importantly one on the ex-commissioner Gopi Krishnan, who was already suspended.
That's right. 4 public servants are being searched at the moment as we speak. The former excise commissioner and the current minister who was in charge of the excise policy are among those who are being searched. The other 2 public servants are people who dealt with the file as far as excise policy is concerned. And the other people are private people. The allegation is that, private people benefited out of this excise policy. So those are the individuals who are being searched at the moment. 21 locations across Delhi-NCR. So not just in the national capital, but in the surrounding areas also, these searches are being carried out. CBI, after doing a preliminary inquiry, registered an FIR, sanitized, they feel they have evidence, and these searches are being carried out to further bolster, maybe to look for digital evidence or papers which will help them establish the case that they have registered.
Arunima, also the AAP has been putting out press conferences. They've been trying to explain the entire money trail. They've been trying to explain the policy, and said that, we were actually trying to save the public exchequer. a tune of around 1,000 crores. In fact, clearly that doesn't seem to appease these agencies. So right now they are looking for the money trail because they believe a quid pro quo has taken place in this case.
The charge against the Manish Sisodia and the public servants are that they caused loss to the exchequer. What is the charge? That they came up with an excise policy, but while implementing that excise policy, undue favor was granted to few private individuals. In return of which, this is what Bharatiya Janata Party has also alleged, that in return of that favor, there was monetary contribution that was made to the Aam Aadmi Party account, and that is what the CBI is doing.
Thank you very much, Arunima, for bringing us those details. Now, going across to my colleague Anshul for more details. Anshul, do bring us an update from on ground. What are the latest details coming in on these ongoing raids?
So yes, as we have been reporting that the raids are going on in at least 21 locations in the national capital, which includes 4 members, 4 bureaucrats as well, including the house of Manish Sisodia as well. Currently, I am standing at Sanjay Singh's residence. I have come here to get a reaction out of him. He is still not reacting, but yes, in the next few minutes, I might be able to get a reaction from him as to what are the main reasons that he thinks that the Aam Aadmi Party is yet again on the back foot when it comes to corruption as well. Because we have seen that Satyendra Jain, he is already in jail. He's already in jail, in fact, in the custody of ED for at least past 3 to 4 weeks now. And now Manish Sisodia is also in the dock. Now remember, the entire case came up when the new LG actually recommended CBI probe, and the CBI has now taken action in this case. They have gone ahead and started raiding people who are actually involved in this, in the manner in which the distribution of licenses took place. So yes, a big story developing out here in the national capital. The Aam Aadmi Party has already reacted. In fact, the national convener of Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, just a few minutes ago had put out a tweet where he went ahead and said that the BJP is actually scared in the manner in which that the Delhi government and the Delhi model is getting fame in the entire world, and that is the reason why they want to take away that credibility from the Aam Aadmi Party. We have also heard that just a few days ago, Delhi BJP MP Manoj Tiwari had done a press conference where he had again put out allegations on the Delhi Jal Board and the DTC that the CAG report has not been submitted in fact it had been tabled in the Delhi Assembly for the last 4 years. So yes, all these questions are now being asked to the Aam Aadmi Party about how the CAG report has also not been submitted and how the licenses were distributed. However, the Aam Aadmi Party is trying to project an image that they are confident and they know that nothing is going to happen to them. They will be safe, as they know that such kind of raids have been happening, and they are confident that even nothing is going to come out in these raids. So yes, it remains to be seen as to how long will these raids go on in 21 different locations in the national capital, because this is something that is definitely maligning the image of Aam Aadmi Party, the image that the Aam Aadmi Party had formed of being a clean and corruption-free party. That image is now being questioned by the locals especially, and by the supporters of Aam Aadmi Party as well. So yes, they are definitely on the dock right now, definitely on the back foot. Remains to be seen how do they tackle this very, very critical situation now and make sure that the image is not tampered in front of the public eye.
Well, yes, Anshul, as you're pointing out, Aam Aadmi Party has built their reputation on that of being integrity and of also being honest, and now that very honesty is being challenged by these multiple raids by central agencies. But Arvind Kejriwal had predicted this. I'm going across to my colleague Rupashi Nanda. Rupashi, can you recap for our viewers how this entire excise policy controversy broke? We know there was a very uncomfortable peace between newly appointed LG and Arvind Kejriwal, and that has led to this flashpoint resulting in these raids at 21 locations.
Absolutely. In fact, it was Lieutenant Governor Mr. V.K. Saxena who actually gave the go-ahead to the CBI to probe what he has termed severe lapses in the excise policy. And following that decision of the Lieutenant Governor, the Aam Aadmi Party actually has been on the back foot and also has been aggressively targeting both the Lieutenant Governor and the central government. And the Aam Aadmi Party has put out this argument that this is on expected lines. The central government is targeting us because it cannot compete with us on the ground when it comes to what they call their model of development. Now, remember, the Aam Aadmi Party's government also in its cabinet note has actually conceded that there have been losses in revenue due to this new excise policy that was brought in. However, Manish Sisodia, who was charged who was charged by the CBI, and now, as our colleagues are telling us.
All right, breaking news coming in. We told you an FIR has been filed in these raids. Now, Sisodia has been named in the excise FIR. So, trouble definitely mounting for the Deputy CM of Delhi there. From his tweets, he seems to be brave, he seems to be courageous. He says, I welcome CBI, this is not the first case on me. But Sisodia now named in that excise FIR. The LG governor. All right, now we're going across to my colleague Ashish Meshi. He tracks the ED. Ashish, what kind of blow is this to Manish Sisodia? The fact that his name features in the excise FIR.
So, we all know that, for quite some time, the Aam Aadmi Party, especially Manish Sisodia, has been coming out, giving explanations, because there has been a complaint suggesting that there was a huge amount of exchequer at the time of COVID, when the policy was twisted and turned in the favor of certain liquor vendors. And these liquor vendors, there is allegation as well that, they helped, certain public officers in the entire scam. So here, as we speak, around 4 public officers are being raided. What we know that, even the excise commissioner, Arvind Kejriwal, he's also being raided. Apart from that, Manish Sisodia's residence is being covered in the raids. Around 21 locations in totality is being raided. Raids are, interestingly, also happening in Punjab as well. So, Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal, and there are 2 more, they have been named as accused in the FIR. So this is something really interesting, that Manish Sisodia has been raided. So and he's being named as an accused. So this is something really interesting as of now.
Now we're also joined by Alka Lamba of the Congress. Very good morning to you, ma'am. How do you view these raids that are taking place? Kejriwal had said that now the new model is to first do the raids and then recover evidence.
देखिए, हम ये सवाल उठ रहा है कि आपकी शराब नीति केजरीवाल जी इतनी बेहतर थी तो सीबीआई के डर से आपने उस नीति को वापस क्यों ले लिया? शीला दीक्षित जी की 15 साल पुरानी नीति को ही ठीक मानकर लागू क्यों कर दिया? मनीष सिसोदिया जी दिल्ली छोड़कर भागे हुए हैं, इस समय हिमाचल में है। हिमाचल की स्वच्छ हवाओं को छोड़िए, दिल्ली की विश्व की सबसे जहरीली हवाओं में जाइए, सीबीआई का सामना करिए अपने घर में, क्योंकि आपने भ्रष्टाचार किया है, ये भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस का भी मानना है। दिल्ली सरकार के मुख्य सचिव की रिपोर्ट के आधार पर एलजी साहब ने ये जांच भ्रष्टाचार पकड़े जाने पर सीबीआई को सौंपी है। हम तो सोच रहे थे कि सीबीआई अभी तक जांच क्यों नहीं शुरू कर रही, किस बात का इंतजार कर रही है। मनीष सिसोदिया ट्वीट करते हैं, है ना, वही अपना विक्टिम कार्ड खेलते हैं, हम बच्चों का भविष्य बना रहे थे। अरे बच्चों का भविष्य आप एक शराब की बोतल के साथ एक फ्री देकर बना रहे थे मनीष सिसोदिया जी। क्या आप शराब की उम्र को 25 से घटाकर 21 करके दिल्ली के बच्चों का भविष्य बना रहे थे? महिलाओं ने अपने मोहल्ले में, इलाकों में शराब की दुकान खुलने का विरोध किया तो आपने हमारी महिलाओं को, मां बहन बेटियों को महिला मार्शल से पिटवा कर दिल्ली का भविष्य बना रहे थे। दिल्ली को नर्क में झोंका है। कट्टर ईमानदार का जो नकाब ओढ़े हुए हैं उनसे पूछिए। सत्येंद्र जैन आपके स्वास्थ्य मंत्री 2 महीने से जेल में है, ईडी ने बिठाया हुआ है। आपके पंजाब के स्वास्थ्य मंत्री कमीशन खोरी में पकड़े गए, जेल में बैठे हुए हैं। और अगर आपको लगता है कांग्रेस की तरह बिल्कुल पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा के तहत है तो कांग्रेस की तरह सड़कों पर क्यों नहीं आए? अरविंद केजरीवाल जी 2 महीने से आप खामोश क्यों हैं? आपका कार्यकर्ता सड़कों पर क्यों नहीं है? पार्लियामेंट में जब विपक्षी दलों की मीटिंग बुलाकर ये कहा गया कि ये पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा के खिलाफ है, के तहत हो रहा है, तो आपने उस मीटिंग में शामिल क्यों नहीं हुए? क्योंकि आपको पता आपके नेताओं ने भ्रष्टाचार किया है, उन्हें बचाने से आप बचने वाले नहीं हैं। जितेंद्र तोमर की फर्जी डिग्री को आप सही ठहराते रहे, बाद में उनको जेल हुई, मंत्री पद गया, विधायकी भी गई, क्योंकि आप यूं ही बचाते रहते। हम कट्टर हैं, हम कट्टर हैं। आप कट्टर हैं तो जन लोकपाल भ्रष्टाचार आपकी मांग थी, आइए ना सामना करिए। मनीष सिसोदिया जी पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री को पंजाब का काम छोड़ा, तो दिल्ली का काम छोड़कर हिमाचल घूम रहे हैं। तो मैं कहूंगी भागिए मत, जांच का सामना करिए। और अगर बीजेपी और आम आदमी में ये एक सीबीआई की जांच फुटबॉल नहीं बनने वाली, क्योंकि गुजरात हिमाचल का चुनाव है, सो इसमें मुझे लगता है कि अगर ये फुटबॉल बन गई तो कुछ हासिल नहीं होगा, सच्चाई कभी सामने नहीं आएगी, समझौते हो जाएंगे बैकडोर पर बीजेपी और आम आदमी में। इसलिए भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस इस पर नजर रखेगी, दबाव बनाए रखेगी कि सीबीआई निष्पक्षता से बिल्कुल इसकी जांच को जल्द फास्ट ट्रैक पे अंजाम पर पहुंचाए। सबूतों के साथ छेड़छाड़ तो मुझे लगता है अभी कागजों के साथ बहुत हो गई होगी, है ना, क्योंकि जो फीसें माफ होने की बजाय जब्त होनी थी, वो मनीष सिसोदिया ने माफ कर दी। 144 करोड़ की फीस जो माफ हुई वो इनके फंड में आई है, ये हमारा आरोप है। सच्चाई क्या है सीबीआई जांच में सामने आएगा, पर मुझे लगता है आम आदमी पार्टी और उसकी कट्टर ईमानदारी अब बेनकाब हो रही है। बिना समझौते के उम्मीद करते हैं जांच जल्द होगी, सामने आएगी। सिर्फ एक चुनावी हथकंडा ये जांच ना बनकर रह जाए, ये हमारा चिंता है।
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us with those very fiery questions of yours. Now, to tell our viewers and bring them up to speed, Congress and the BJP had objected to the excise policy when it had come in place. And now, Alka Lamba of the Congress there saying that if you are so honest, why don't you join our protest against these raids when when the Congress had said that central agencies are being misused and being used to target some individuals. So now, Alka Lamba and the Congress, they're training their guns on the Aam Aadmi Party. Now, I'm going across to my colleague Akash, who is in fact at Manish Sisodia's residence. Akash, Alka Lamba pointed out that Manish Sisodia is actually at Himachal at a rally. I know that as late as last evening, he was still at Himachal. Is he currently at his residence or is he still in Himachal?
So, Shilpa, we don't have any confirmation sort of that, but this is the very residence, and I can see the cars parked here as well. And if I can ask my camera person to show you the visual there, you see the CBI officer as well there. You see the jacket where CBI is very much written there. Okay, and at this point in time, we have no clarity as to Manish Sisodia is inside or not. But this search is being conducted by the CBI officers, and as per the information that we have got from our sources, this is in concern with the excise policy, and this particular case was recommended by LG, and in fact he mentioned that how a financial quid pro quo happened in this particular case. In fact, some sort of relaxations were given to those who were very near and dear to Manish Sisodia, and that's the reason why we are learning that Manish Sisodia is an accused now in the FIR that has been filed by CBI. So this particular development, talking about this particular development, at around 8:30 we got to know as to CBI officers have reached this particular residence, and this is the official residence of Manish Sisodia, AB 17 Mathura Road, and at this point in time we can see some officers are very much inside. It is visible in fact, but we don't know as to Manish Sisodia is inside or not, because as you rightly mentioned, he was in Himachal yesterday. And also, talking about the political development, Shilpa, we know that how Aam Aadmi Party has been saying this, that central government is misusing central agency, and they were anticipating that CBI would be arresting Manish Sisodia in some time from now. Also, at a time when Satyen Jain was first arrested, so we saw that how Arvind Kejriwal first gave him a clean chit, and then after he said that he is very much sure that he'll be walking out freely because he's not a corrupt person, he's a kattar imandar person. This is what he mentioned. Also in this case, just a few days back when we reported this, that LG has basically recommended a CBI probe into the excise policy that was implemented in November 2021, and then after the developments when the government basically decided to roll back this and to implement the old policy. At that time also Arvind Kejriwal very much mentioned this, that Manish Sisodia is a person who has done a lot for the education system of Delhi, and that's the reason why he has been targeted and he is getting all this heat, because he has done some very good work. Also he mentioned that central government doesn't want Delhi government to work for the betterment of Delhi, and that's the reason why the ministers are being targeted as of now. Further, talking about this particular development, now BJP is saying that CBI is basically investigating in a case, and Aam Aadmi Party should not politicize it, because if someone has done something wrong, then he has to face the consequences, and that's the reason why we are seeing this development where CBI officers are basically searching 21 locations. In fact, we are learning that one team has reached to the residence of Arva Gopi Krishnan, who used to be the excise minister and who was recently suspended. So at this point in time, this is the major development. If I can ask my camera person Vikas to show you once again the visuals of inside the particular house, where you can see the official from the CBI as well. He is wearing a jacket where CBI is very much written. We are learning that some officers are very much inside. They are carrying, conducting these searches in concern with the excise policy that was implemented, and in fact the same policy for which the CBI probe was recommended by LG VK Saxena. So this is the development. But again, Shilpa, coming back to the original question that you asked, we still have no clarity and no confirmation as to if Manish Sisodia is inside or not. Shilpa.
Thank you very much for those details, Akash. Now we know that 21 locations are being currently raided. One of those is the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. Now, my colleague Anshul is at spokesperson Sanjay Singh's residence. That's AAP spokesperson Sanjay Singh. Anshul, I know you're trying to get a word from him currently, and I'm sure there are a lot of people trying. But so far, can you take us through what has been AAP's official stand on this? They have provided many counters. In fact, just stay with me because we have some breaking news coming in with regards to these raids. All right, raids currently being conducted in 7 states and union territories. So it's not just the national capital where the CBI is focusing. They believe that the money trail spreads far and wide. So these raids are being conducted in 7 states and union territories. So far, the details are being brought to us by my colleague Arunima. I'm going across to her for more details. Arunima, what more do we know about these raids? Who are these individuals who are under the scanner?
7 places, including Delhi-NCR. We are told Punjab and other states are also in the scanner. People who are being raided are, in Delhi, there are public servants, 2 of whom are the Minister of Delhi government, Manish Sisodia, as well as then Excise Commissioner. 2 others are people who dealt with the excise policy while they were in that department. The private individuals are people who allegedly benefited out of this excise policy. The charge is that there was an exchange of money in lieu of benefits. And they are the people who are being searched, 7 states and UTs. More importantly, this is not an unnamed FIR. CBI is confirming to us that Manish Sisodia has been named in the FIR as somebody who caused loss to the exchequer. And there are also charges under Prevention of Corruption Act, sections of PC Act and sections of Indian Penal Code 120B have been mentioned in that FIR. That makes it even more, damaging for Manish Sisodia because he has been named in that FIR, meaning when CBI conducted its preliminary inquiry, they have reasons to believe that there are enough evidence to name him for these sections. So that means more legal trouble for him.
Well, yes, Arunima, as you're pointing out, the CBI definitely feels that there has been quid pro quo and that private individuals have also benefited. Now, let me go back to my colleague Anshul, who I mentioned was at AAP spokesperson Sanjay Singh's residence. Anshul, can you recap for us the official counters that have been made by the Aam Aadmi Party with regards to these discrepancies? Of course, it was a big, a big step for them to roll back this policy and go back to the earlier one. When this new policy had lapsed, they went back to the old policy, and now Congress pointing out that if your policy was so good and you stand by it, why did you go back to Sheila Dikshit's old policy, which is actually a 15-year-old policy?
So yes, definitely the Aam Aadmi Party has been on dock since the day the newly appointed Lieutenant Governor of Delhi had recommended a CBI probe into the whole excise policy, and that is the reason why we saw that within a week of the recommendation given out by the LG, the new excise policy was in fact taken back by the Delhi government. However, a 1-month extension was given, keeping in mind the liquor shortage that could happen in the national capital. So yes, a 1-month extension was given, which is going to end on August 31. Now, since this morning, since approximately 8 a.m. this morning, raids have been going on in Deputy CM's Manish Sisodia's residence in the national capital. However, as soon as the raid started, Manish Sisodia put out a thread of tweets in which he said that the central government is actually afraid of the manner in which the Delhi government is functioning, especially the tremendous work that it has done when it comes to the when it comes to education in the national capital. So yes, Manish Sisodia had already clarified that he is going to help in the entire investigation because nothing is going to come out is what
Anshul, stay with us because we have Ramnivas Goel from Aam Aadmi Party joining us, also the Delhi Vidhan Sabha President. Good morning to you, sir. 21 raids being conducted across 7 states and union territories. We know that the party has been saying that they are being targeted by central agencies. How confident are you about emerging from these raids unscathed? And what kind of blow do you think it is to the public perception of your party that has, asked for votes and built itself on the stamp of honesty and integrity? Do you think that's shaken by these raids?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Sir,
Yes,
ye raids 21 states or union territory.
Hello.
Sir, can you hear me? I'm Shilpa Ratnam, CNN News 18. We're asking you about the CBI raids.
I have listened to you. You are listening me? Hello.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
In this matter, I have to say only one thing. Whatever central government is doing through their agencies, that is only a revenge with the Aam Aadmi Party. Nothing more than it. Because I have a protocol, I have said only one thing. They are doing like enemies. मेरा इस पे ये कहना है कि जो पहले स्पीकर थे, पहले जो हमारे एलजी थे, पॉलिसी उस समय आई थी, 1 साल चलती रही. There was no problem at all. Now the new LG came within 2 months. The policy is not correct. ऐसे देश नहीं चलता है.
सर, अगर आपको अपनी ये न्यू पॉलिसी पे इतना विश्वास था तो आपने उसको वापस क्यों लिया और आप वो पुरानी पॉलिसी पे क्यों वापस गए? क्योंकि अब कांग्रेस भी पूछ रहा है कि ये 15
Just listen to me. As per the direction of the LG, the policy was withdrawn. पॉलिसी आप बताइए ना, आपको अच्छी लगी? पहले लाइनें लग रही थी बाहर गलियों में, सड़कों पे एक जाली लगी होती थी, जेल की तरह से लोग शराब खरीदते थे. एक अच्छी पॉलिश शॉप बन गई, वेल मैनेज्ड शॉप बन गई, वो इनको हजम नहीं हो रहा. दिल्ली के लोगों को सस्ती शराब मिलने लगी, वो इनको हजम नहीं हो रहा था. वो तो टाइम आएगा, पता लगेगा कितना उसमें गबन हुआ. टाइम आएगा जब इंक्वायरी होगी पूरी. नथिंग मोर देन इट आई हैव टू से, प्लीज.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. So you heard Ram Nawaz Goel there. He says we didn't roll back that policy. He said we were asked to stop this new policy and to go back to the old policy. And he's asking, are you happy with the fact that in the old policy people had to stand like prisoners outside bars and take alcohol? Now going back to Anshul, I don't know if you heard what Ram Nawaz Goel had to say there, but he says this is revenge by the central ruling party. He says this is revenge that is being taken out on Aam Aadmi Party, and that the party believes that this motive is absolutely one that stems from vengeance.
Definitely, the manner in which he answered your question, Shilpa, definitely seems that he is rattled by the manner in which the CBI, the central agencies are now after the senior leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party, be it Manish Sisodia, be it Satyendra Jain. We have seen Satyendra Jain, who is already in the custody of ED, in fact is in jail for more than four weeks now, again on the allegations of corruption. So yes, the Aam Aadmi Party, the image, because the main thing for the Aam Aadmi Party that the leaders say that their image of being a very clean and corruption-free party, that is now being targeted by the BJP, is what the Aam Aadmi Party say. They say that this image is something that is the BJP is scared of, and definitely the elections that are going to come up in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh in the next 5 to 6 months, that is also one of the reasons that these leaders say that such raids are going on. But yes, the most pertinent question that you rightly asked him, that why was the liquor policy then taken back when there was no discrepancy in that policy? Because the manner in which the licenses of those of liquor vents that was distributed definitely created a lot of raised a lot of questions on the Aam Aadmi Party, and that is the reason why we saw the newly appointed LG recommending CBI probe in this entire matter. So yes, the Aam Aadmi Party is definitely on the dock. Currently, the senior leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party have been told to not to speak to media. At 11 a.m. is the time when Sanjay Singh is going to do a press conference where he's going to take questions on the raids and what is the official reaction of the Aam Aadmi Party. But till now, the senior leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party have been putting out tweets. Just a few minutes ago, Bhagwat Mann has also put out a tweet that this is out of jealousy that this is happening, and he has also put out a report in New York Times where the Delhi model of education was appreciated in that op-ed. So yes.
All right, Anshul, stay with us. We're also joined by Aam Aadmi Party Gopal Rai. Very good morning to you, sir. Sir, I just have one question. Now, the CBI inquiry was recommended on Delhi Chief Secretary's report that was filed in July, which showed prima facie violations. If there were no violations, why didn't you just counter the report so this could be nipped in the bud?
देखिए, सीबीआई आई है, उनका स्वागत है, लेकिन इसके पीछे का जो मोटिव है मोदी सरकार का, वो ठीक नहीं है, क्योंकि आज वो दिन है जिस दिन दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल की तारीफ में न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स मनीष सिसोदिया की फोटो के साथ जो है खबर छापता है, और ठीक उसी दिन जो है सीबीआई की रेड डाली जाती है। ये इस बात को दर्शाता है कि जो केंद्र सरकार का अभियान है वो भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ नहीं है, वो दिल्ली सरकार के जो शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य के कामों की चर्चा जो पूरे दुनिया में हो रही है उसकी बौखलाहट में किया जा रहा है। क्योंकि अगर भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ लड़ाई होती तो अभी बुंदेलखंड में हम सबने खबरों में देखा कि जिस एक्सप्रेसवे का प्रधानमंत्री जी ने खुद जो है उद्घाटन किया, वो 3 दिन बाद टूट गया। कितना बड़ा भ्रष्टाचार हुआ, जांच तो नहीं शुरू हुई वहां पे। गुजरात के अंदर जहरीली शराब पकड़ी गई, कितने लोग मर गए, वहां तो जांच शुरू नहीं हुई। तो ये जो पूरी कार्रवाई जिस तरह से पूरे अपोजिशन को और खास तौर से दिल्ली के अंदर अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के नेतृत्व में जिस तरह से शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य का मॉडल खड़ा हुआ है, मेरे ख्याल से लग रहा है केंद्र सरकार को उससे डर लग रहा है, और उसके काउंटर में इन कामों को रोकने के लिए ये सारी कवायद हो रही है। पहले स्वास्थ्य मंत्री के ऊपर कार्रवाई करने के लिए इन्होंने उनको जो है एडी भेजी, अब सीबीआई भेजी गई है। मुझे लगता है ये बहुत ही दुखद है। मुझे लगता है कि एक पॉजिटिव कंपटीशन होना चाहिए। अगर दिल्ली में अच्छे काम हो रहे हैं, दिल्ली के शिक्षा मंत्री की न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में अगर फोटो छप गई तो ये अच्छी बात है, देश के नाम उसमें रोशन हो रहा है। इसके बदले की कार्रवाई नहीं होनी चाहिए।
जी, मैंने अलका लांबा कांग्रेस उनसे बात की थी आज सुबह, और वो बोल रही हैं कि अगर आप इतने कट्टर हैं, अगर आम आदमी पार्टी इतनी कट्टर पार्टी है, तो हम जब प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे थे, ये जो सेंट्रल एजेंसीज हैं वो हमारे अगेंस्ट यूज़ कर रहे हैं, ये सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, तब हम जब प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे थे आप सड़कों पे क्यों नहीं आए? और जब आपके ऊपर ऐसी कार्रवाई हो रही है और आप मानते हैं कि ये गलत है, तो आप सड़कों पे क्यों नहीं आए? और आप ऐसे छुपते क्यों रहे, आप ऐसे छुप क्यों रह रहे हैं, ये पूछ रहा है कांग्रेस।
मुझे लगता है कि देखिए, बात हमारा फोकस है काम करने पे, ठीक है ना, और हम काम कर रहे हैं, पूरा देश देख रहा है। अगर न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स को अमेरिका में बैठ करके समझ में आ रहा है कि दिल्ली के अंदर अच्छे काम हो रहे हैं, तो लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है। हम अपने काम पे फोकस कर रहे हैं। रही बात सड़कों की, तो सड़कों पर हम उतरते हैं देश के काम के लिए, देश के मुद्दे के लिए, जनता के मुद्दे के लिए, और आगे भी उतरते रहेंगे। लेकिन जहां तक हमें पता है कि सारी जांचें, पहले भी सीबीआई की जांच करी थी इन्होंने, निकला क्या? आज तक निकलता तो कुछ नहीं है। इसलिए जनता इसका जवाब देगी। लेकिन कुल मिलाकर के हम इतनी सी बात कहना चाहते हैं कि जो जिस तरह से ये कार्रवाई हो रही है वो बहुत ही दुखद है, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
जी, अगर आपको अपनी नई एक्साइज पॉलिसी पे इतना विश्वास था तो आप इतनी जल्दी वो पुरानी एक्साइज पॉलिसी पे रोल बैक क्यों किया आपने? क्योंकि जैसे कांग्रेस बोल रहा है वो 15 साल पुरानी की पॉलिसी है, और अगर आप सच में मानते हो कि जैसे शराब पहले बेचा गया था वो ऐसे जेल की तरह था और कैदी की तरह लोग बाहर खड़े थे, तो आपको इतना विश्वास था नए पॉलिसी पे कि वो पब्लिक एक्सचेकर को भी प्रॉफिट दिलवा सकता है, तो आप उस पे अड़े क्यों नहीं और आप इतनी जल्दी पिछले पुरानी पॉलिसी पे क्यों लौट गए?
नहीं, देखिए, पॉलिसी को लागू करना, पॉलिसी के उसके पॉजिटिव जो इम्पैक्ट है उसके लिए काम कर रहे थे, लेकिन जिस तरह से वो तो पूरी पॉलिसी को ही पैरालाइज करने के लिए उन्होंने सबको डराया धमकाया, तो उसमें सरकार ने निर्णय लिया कि भाई अगर और जो सुझाव कुछ आ रहे हैं उसको सरकार रिव्यू करेगी और उसको और जो कुछ उसमें और जोड़ना है जोड़ेगी, उसका करप्शन से कोई लेना देना नहीं।
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, sir, with your views. Now, we're also joined by Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP. Very good morning to you, Shehzad. I'm sure you've trained your guns and you have all those facts to attack Aam Aadmi Party with. But the party there saying, BJP continues to wreak vengeance upon our party, and that on a day when our education model is being praised, they want to distract from it by conducting these raids and to tamper with our image.
See, Shilpa, you and I have a PAN card, Aadhaar card. These people have a permanent victimhood card and they do ABCD. A for advertising, B for Bhashtachar, C for cover-up of corruption, D for deviation. The courts of law have given their orders against people like Satyendra Jain, who are in jail for the last 2.5 months. And they have said that he has a criminal background. They have said that he has prima facie conducted and done money laundering. Are the courts doing vindictive politics? On Manish Sisodia's liquor scam, they themselves have reverted from the new policy to the old policy, acknowledging that there was a corruption. Their own chief secretary, the Delhi government chief secretary, has given a report to the LG on the basis of which a CBI probe was ordered. We, as in Meenakshi Lekhi ji, Sambit Patra ji and I, asked specific questions on the liquor scam, which they have not answered as yet. Why was a 144 crore loan given, a waiver given? Why was the 30 crore EMD refunded? Why was the manufacturing company allowed in retail? Why was blacklisted companies like Khowgali allowed in retail? Why did you break so many norms while giving all these benefits to the liquor companies? This was done because during the Punjab elections, they picked up a lot of funds and now they've reverted to the old policy. They themselves have acknowledged this. There are show cause notices of October 2021 issued by the same excise department on these aspects. Are those show cause notices wrong? So they are the ones who play this victimhood card. They must only answer that why haven't they taken action on their own Parthas till now? The Partha in West Bengal has been acted upon. The Partha in Maharashtra has been acted upon. But the Partha in Delhi, meaning Mr. Manish Sisodia and Mr. Satyendra Jain, despite court orders, have not been acted upon. And to time and again say Vidvesh ki karwai, if there was Vidvesh ki karwai, the court should have given relief to Satyendra Jain. I wish Mr. Gopal Rai would have stayed on for this phono and he would have answered that why for the last 3 months or 2.5 months, the courts have not given any relief to Satyendra Jain.
Okay, all right, Shehzad, I noted down your questions, and as always, you have some very pointed questions there. I will be putting them across to AAP. Thank you for joining me this morning. Now we're going back to my colleague Ashish Meshi. He tracks the ED for us. Ashish, we heard what Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP had to say. It all comes down to that report that was filed by the Delhi Chief Secretary. And the Aam Aadmi Party has been unable to counter those prima facie violations. They have been saying that the central government is using the agencies to take revenge upon us, especially on days such as, when our education model is being praised. They're calling out the timing of these raids that are being called out. But what is a counter that has been given by the Aam Aadmi Party to the factual discrepancies on paper?
So, there is a report that was filed there was a complaint that came to the Lieutenant Governor. The Lieutenant Governor purposely did not give the name of the complainant because they expected the Aam Aadmi Party and their team to harass the complainant. So that name of the complainant was kept secret. That complaint was forwarded to the Chief Secretary. Now the Chief Secretary was not able to give proper answers to the violations. The violations were majorly on certain counts. The counts were that there was proper cartelization and beneficiaries who basically benefited out of this policy. And there are certain companies which are blacklisted as well. But despite that, the enforcement, the excise policy did not counter that. They did not look at it, and they gave the license to companies which were blacklisted. They gave the license to companies where it was in violation of the excise policy. I'll give you one example. There is one company which was basically, the policy said that you cannot give a license to one company in more than 2 zones, but interestingly it was given in 3 zones. So it is absolutely in violation of what the excise policy says. There is one company where the EMD was submitted by a blacklisted company, and the company was blacklisted in Madhya Pradesh, where the company was caught stealing excise and doing black marketing of liquor. But despite that, despite the information being in public domain, they did not give they gave the license to that company. So these are basically facts that have come to light over a period of time. And interestingly, there is one more issue which everybody knows about, is that during the COVID times, on how the liquor policy was twisted and turned in such a manner that it was a major loss to the exchequer as well. So here, these are the reasons why the
ईमानदारी का चोला पहन ले वह भ्रष्टाचारी ही रहता है। और आम आदमी पार्टी का भ्रष्टाचार एक बार नहीं कई बार देखने को सामने आया है। आज मुद्दा है शराब के ठेकों का, शराब के ठेकों में हुए भ्रष्टाचार का, और इस विभाग के मंत्री हैं मनीष सिसोदिया जी। जिस दिन सीबीआई को जांच दी उसी दिन शराब नीति को वापस लिया। अगर शराब नीति में कोई घोटाला नहीं था तो उसको वापस क्यों लिया? क्योंकि शराब के ठेकों में भ्रष्टाचार हुआ। शराब के ठेकों में दिल्ली में भयंकर भ्रष्टाचार हुआ। अरविंद केजरीवाल और मनीष सिसोदिया की सांठगांठ सामने आई, इसीलिए शराब नीति को वापस लिया। सीबीआई और जांच की डर अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को मजबूर करती है ट्वीट करने पर कि ये शिक्षा नहीं, ये शराब की बात हो रही है और आम आदमी पार्टी के शराब के ठेकों में हुए भ्रष्टाचार की बात हो रही है। जनता को मूर्ख न समझें, राष्ट्र के नाम अपना संदेश देना बंद करें। और मैं एक बात कहना चाहता हूं, आपके पहले मंत्री सत्येंद्र जैन जब जेल गए भ्रष्टाचार में, आपने तब भी उनको बर्खास्त नहीं किया। वो कहते हैं उनकी याददाश्त चले गई। आशा करता हूं एक्साइज मंत्री एक्सक्यूज मंत्री तो बन गए हैं, कहीं उनकी भी याददाश्त ना चली जाए। पर जनता और देश जवाब चाहता है। ये शराब में ठेकों में जो भ्रष्टाचार हुआ, ये शराब के ठेकों का भ्रष्टाचार, ये जनता और देश के सामने आया है। आम आदमी पार्टी, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी और मनीष सिसोदिया जी की सच्चाई सामने आई कि कैसे घोटाले किए हैं। ये भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ आंदोलन करने की बात करते थे, कभी भी राजनीति में ना आने की बात करते थे। ये राजनीति में भी आए और भ्रष्टाचार में भी संलिप्त हुए। एक नहीं कई और उदाहरण ये आम आदमी पार्टी के सामने देखने को मिलते हैं।
To Manish Sisodia's latest tweet, he says, "Your conspiracies will not be able to break me. I have built these schools for lakhs of children of Delhi. The smile that came in the lives of millions of children is my strength. Your intention is to break me. This is my intention." Or now going across to Akash. Akash, he's talking about the schools that have been built. He again pushes across the point that on a day when the education model is being praised, these raids are being conducted, of course, to tarnish their image. So they believe that this entire conspiracy is to take away from the good that they've done. So let's talk about the schools that they've built. They said they were going to build 500 schools. How many schools do we know that they've built in the time period that they've come to power?
So, Shilpa, interestingly, this is again under question because, on one side we have Aam Aadmi Party that claims that Manish Sisodia has done a lot for the education model and education system of the national capital. But on the other hand, we have BJP, which says that Manish Sisodia has done nothing, but Aam Aadmi Party is a party that believes in promotion of things that they never did. Also, talking about this particular tweet, he is somewhere trying to show that he is a man who has done a lot for the education system and in fact for the children. But at this point in time, reading this particular tweet, मुझे तुम्हारी साजिशें तोड़ न सकेंगी. मैंने दिल्ली के लाखों बच्चों के लिए स्कूल बनाए हैं. लाखों बच्चों की जिंदगी में आई मुस्कान मेरी ताकत है. तुम्हारा इरादा मुझे तोड़ने का है. मेरा इरादा तो ये है. So he is somewhere showing that my intention is to build more and more schools and do a lot for the students and children for Delhi. But at this point in time, you are somewhere harassing me and my family. Bringing in this CBI team at my house and also dragging my name to this particular point. Also, let me tell you that, we have learned that how Manish Sisodia is also an accused in this particular case, and at this point in time, 21 locations are the total locations that CBI is basically searching. And as of now, not only Manish Sisodia, but also Arva Gopi Krishnan, who used to be the excise commissioner then, is under radar, and his name is very much there in the particular recommendation that were given by LG. So at this point in time, we are seeing that Aam Aadmi Party leaders are facing this heat, and at this point in time, TP Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is facing this kind of conditions also. We are learning that he is not here present inside the residence, but is actually in Himachal Pradesh as of now. But if I can show you the visuals again, there you see one CBI officer is roaming, and also this particular car. This car belongs to Manish Sisodia as well. But at this point in time, this is what we are learning from our sources, that Manish Sisodia is not here inside inside his residence, but he is somewhere tweeting and is saying and is somewhere trying to portray that he is a person who has done a lot for Delhi, for the national capital, and for the education system, in fact. And he's not the only person, talking about the particular developments. We have seen in the past that how Arvind Kejriwal categorically mentioned that just because Manish Sisodia is a person who has done a lot for the national capital, and, his efforts are praised on an international level as well. That's the reason why central government is now trying to, get him for all these cases, and also he has anticipated that Manish Sisodia would be arrested very soon. At this point in time, we saw this latest development in the morning when around 8:30 we saw that how Manish Sisodia tweeted that CBI officers has reached his house, and we don't know as to what is the exact figure, but we are learning that 7 to 8 officers went inside, and at this particular point they are searching this particular premise, which is the official residence of Manish Sisodia. This is very interesting because after the recommendation where it was categorically mentioned that some financial quid pro quo happened in the excise policy that was implemented in November 2021. Also, some sort of relaxation was given to those who were very near and dear to Manish Sisodia. At that time, in fact, clarifications were issued by the Aam Aadmi Party saying that those relaxations were not only given to people who were, belonging to the excise department or the license holders from the excise department, but because that was a pandemic time, those kind of relaxations were given to some other people, some other departments as well. At that time, allegations were that rupees 144 crore relaxation was given. In fact, the security amount was given back, and that was violating the after violating the concerned norms. But at this point in time, Aam Aadmi Party is somewhere clear that nothing irregular or nothing in violation has ever happened, but whatever they did was as per the laid norms and rules and regulation. Also, talking about this particular policy, we know that in this particular policy, whole Delhi was divided into 32 zones.
You to stay with us because we do have some breaking news coming in with regards to this. Now, Amit Malviya has tweeted a fresh attack. He says Delhi government's new excise policy was arbitrary, caused huge loss to the exchequer. If the policy was fine, why was it reversed immediately after the inquiry was ordered? Arvind Kejriwal had given honesty certificate to Satyendra Jain. Also, he still remains in jail. Sisodia too will go. Now, let me go back to Akash for some details about this. Akash, now this is the question that's on everyone's mind, and I asked the Aam Aadmi Party as well. They said, we had to go back to the old policy because of the LG. Now, is it true that the LG had asked them to go back to the old policy? Do take us through this decision of the Aam Aadmi Party to revert to that old policy.
So, Shilpa, we don't know as to if there was any such communication, but talking about the facts, we know that at that particular day when Delhi government decided to roll back this particular policy, at that day it was maintained that because license holders and all those who are a part of excise department who are getting some threatening calls, and these threatening calls were about that if you'll not be backing out with this, license holders were receiving calls that if you will not be backing out with this from this, you'll be like ED team and CBI team will be sent to your house as well. So at that time, Manish Sisodia somewhere maintained that license holders and all the officers are getting these kind of calls, and that's the reason why we are not continuing with this particular policy. However, 1 month extension was given to this particular policy. Also, the argument is that the loss to the exchequer was because of the former LG, was because of the previous LG, because at the time of policy he approved all the suggestions, all the recommendation of the elected government, but while it was implemented, while shops were to open 2 days back, he raised some sort of questions, and he put one query as well, that in case while you are opening these shops in unauthorized colonies, you need to get permission of MCD and DDA as well, and that's the reason why these shops could not open. And then those shopkeepers who got licenses of these shops went to court, and that's the reason why Delhi government had to return all the security amount and all their money. This is what the argument is. So on one hand we have Aam Aadmi Party, who is in fact saying that at that time the loss to the exchequer was because of the previous LG, who in fact raised some sort of questions on the implementation. But on the other hand, we have LG who has recommended its CBI probe, saying that Manish Sisodia has given benefits to to license holders who were very near and dear, and also some sort of relaxations were given at a time when country was facing some really bad times, some really tough times at a time when Corona was at its peak. Shilpa.
Thank you very much for those details. Akash, stay with us. We have some breaking news coming in. AAP MP Sanjay Singh has tweeted, he is the spokesperson of the party. He's tweeted, dictatorship and vendetta politics do not last long. The whole country is watching. Well, yes, indeed, the whole country is watching. 21. We're going across to Atishi from the Aam Aadmi Party. Good morning, Atishi. How do you view these raids and the BJP asking some pointed questions about discrepancies in that prima facie report? Why is there no counter from your party to counter them factually?
See, I think that the whole country is watching that on the day after the New York Times publishes about the Delhi model of education on the front page of their international edition, you have the CBI raiding the residence of the Education Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Manish Sisodia. This is not the first case that has been registered against Aam Aadmi Party. At last count, the number of cases against Aam Aadmi Party leaders had crossed more than 150. And not one case has any evidence been found for convicting any minister, any MLA, any leader of Aam Aadmi Party. So let this be case number 151. Let any investigation happen. Why just the CBI? Let the ED investigate. Let the Income Tax Department investigate. Let the Delhi Police investigate. And not one single rupee of corruption will be found in any policy of the Delhi government, the Aam Aadmi Party government.
Atishi, what do you believe are the basis for these raids? Earlier as well, CM had said that first these raids are conducted and then the evidence is found that the whole process has now been changed.
No, absolutely. It is very clear. You see the fact that you have the New York Times publishing on the front page about the Delhi model of education and printing a photograph of the Education Minister, Mr. Manish Sisodia, as a model not just before the whole country but before the whole world. So it's very clear that the Aam Aadmi Party is now getting recognition not just across the country but across the world as well. And this is something that the BJP government just cannot tolerate. And it's very clear that these kind of raids, these kind of investigations only happen against the opposition. Did any CBI investigation happen after hundreds of people, after so many people died of having illicit liquor after the Hooch tragedy in Gujarat? No investigation happened. Was there any CBI investigation in the Bundelkhand Expressway, which after the Prime Minister inaugurated within 5 days was found broken in so many places? There was no CBI investigation. CBI investigation only happens against Manish Sisodia. CBI investigations only happen against Arvind Kejriwal. CBI investigations only happen against Aam Aadmi Party leaders because the Bharatiya Janata Party cannot tolerate the growing popularity of Aam Aadmi Party.
Atishi, I take your points, but if you are so confident, why do we find the Aam Aadmi Party constantly on the back foot and on the defensive? You know, if you are armed with honesty and as you are saying, you feel that there is vengeance that's being wreaked upon your party, it is an attempt to malign your party, why don't you go on the offensive? Or are you just going to keep watching, you know, perhaps even a potential arrest of Manish Sisodia? How do you plan to counter it?
Yeah, as I said, that they can do, the central government can do any investigation that they want. Why just the CBI? They can send the Enforcement Directorate, the Delhi Police, the Income Tax Department, any other agency that they have. But despite any investigation, they will not find one single rupee of corruption, which they haven't been able to find so far as well. They have registered so many cases against Aam Aadmi Party MLAs and ministers, and yet not one single rupee of corruption has been found.
Atishi, you know, the BJP keeps bringing up Satyendra Jain, who's still in jail. You know, there are constant taunts daily about his memory that is lost. Do you feel that has been a huge blow to the image of your party?
No, I feel that let the investigation happen against Satyendra Jain also. Again, I am very confident that not one of corruption will be found. Let them investigate. Let the ED investigate. Let income tax investigate. Any kind of investigation can happen.
Okay. Atishi, before I let you go, just one last question that everybody has been asking. Why was the new excise policy taken back? Why did you revert to the old one? Aam Aadmi Party says it was on the recommendation of the LG.
It is because the new excise policy was not allowed to be properly implemented by the Lieutenant Governor, by the Bharatiya Janata Party, its NCD and DVA. It did not allow, the BJP did not allow more than 250 stores to be opened. The LG changed the policy one day before the shops were to be opened. So what choice did the Delhi government have? Do we want to make Delhi like Gujarat, where illicit liquor sells in every corner, where you have huge tragedies every few months? Or do we then go back to the older excise policy, where at least you have some basic legal selling of liquor so that the people of Delhi are not in danger?
Okay, I take your point, Atishi, and I put it across to RP Singh of the BJP, who also joins us. Good morning, sir. You heard what Atishi had to say. She says that first, you don't let us implement our policy in full. Then you accuse us of going back to the old policy. We didn't have any choice. So the BJP constantly asking AAP, why did you go back to the old policy? This is the answer that AAP has for you.
Well, they should stop playing victim card. The fact is that they knew that in the non-conforming areas, you can't open the liquor shops. But they still went ahead and gave the shops to the cartels. But they're not answering the basic question. How did they waive 144.36 crore to a cartel of the excise policy without taking a cabinet rule? I mean, why did he have to take a post-facto cabinet rule? And who gave him right to Mr. Sisodia right to waive off that 144.36 crore rupees? Not only that, how did he return that money which was taken from L1? No tender process worldwide ever allow L1 money to be refunded. Who gave him right to return that 30 crore rupees? Who was the person whom the 30 crore rupees were returned? And to whom the favor was given? Put together 74.36 crore rupees is in question. And this has not been raised by us. This has been raised by the Chief Secretary of the city. And then Chief Secretary of the city of Delhi has said, the state has said that they did it without even taking cabinet rule, and in cabinet meeting also, where they took a approval post facto of doing so, was not conducted by as per rule. I mean, for any cabinet meeting, you have to give a notice 48 hours before. They never gave it. They called an emergency meeting at night, and they said tomorrow morning we are going to change it. And the Chief Secretary was also told at 9 o'clock. Although for every cabinet meeting, they have to send a approval notice 48 hours before to the LG, but that didn't happen. It means there's a lot they need to answer, and they let them answer the basic question of corruption. All this old policy, new policy is a smaller issue, although it's an issue for city Delhiites that the shops were open. They're trying to push shops in the non-conforming areas where they could have done it so. But असली बात करें तो भ्रष्टाचार कैसे किया और क्यों किया?
Okay, okay. Atishi, how do you counter that question about numbers? The 144 crore rebate, what is the counter to that?
All decisions of the excise policy have been taken as per rules, regulations and legal procedures. Mr. R.P. Singh himself knows that non-conforming areas, liquor stores were allowed in the excise policy that was approved by the Lieutenant Governor, the very same Lieutenant Governor appointed by their party and their central government. And therefore, it was not illegal. It is now that the Bharatiya Janata Party realized that they will, the illegal liquor cartels that were providing funding to different leaders would therefore not be allowed to function once this new excise policy comes in place. And therefore, the Bharatiya Janata Party, using its MCD, DDA and the Lieutenant Governor, did not allow the new excise policy to come into play properly. And this is exactly why Mr. Manish Sisodia has written to the CBI to investigate the role of the Lieutenant Governor in preventing the excise policy from functioning properly and in making loss to the public exchequer. But it is very clear, the CBI is never going to investigate the Lieutenant Governor. The CBI is never going to investigate the Bharatiya Janata Party. Did the CBI investigate the illegal liquor business in Gujarat after hundreds of people died? Did the CBI investigate the Bundelkhand Expressway, where days after it was inaugurated by the Prime Minister, you find the expressway is broken in so many places? No, because it is vendetta politics. But as I said, Aam Aadmi Party's honesty will stand the test of any investigation. Aam Aadmi Party's honesty will stand the test of any of these false cases that are being filed against Aam Aadmi Party leaders.
Same as
Mr. R.P. Singh, as Atishi is saying, the education model of the Aam Aadmi Party was being praised by the New York Times. And what do you have to say about the timing of these raids? We have been seeing the excise policy controversy being played out for a long time, but the fact that 21 raids are done a day when the education model of the Aam Aadmi Party was being praised, Atishi feels that this is again vendetta politics, especially when in the recent past we only have those in the opposition who are being raided.
Well, let us tell that are there principals in each and every school of Delhi? No, more than 70% schools would have principals. How many dropouts are there for every mentioned 10th standard in Delhi schools? We need to answer that also. Then, what do the education officers of the Delhi government goes and tell the children that आप question के answer में question लिख तो will make you through, will pass you. So this is how the education model is of Delhi. They can buy people, they can buy media, they can do whatever they want. They are good at PR, everyone knows. But that doesn't divert from the basic key issue. Atishi is still not answering. How did 144 3.36 crore was waived off, and then they went for a cabinet approval after a week or 10 days time, post facto. And who authorized Mr. Kejriwal, in which cabinet note Mr. Kejriwal authorized to waive off such money, such a huge money? How did L1 money was returned without a cabinet approval? And then why do they have to go for a post facto approval and that to rush? It's clear that there is a big hanky-panky and there's a lot of money which is staying hand in this. This CBI will unearth, and let's wait for time. We are hopeful CBI will unearth everything. And let them not play victim card. The victim card is not going to help. Victim card is not helping Satinder Jain's case. Mr. Kejriwal's big claim that I know Satinder Jain, he is honest and he is so. Court has not given relief. Rather, court has asked for further action. So we know that all this is not helping them. शराब का शराब, पानी का पानी होकर रहेगा दिल्ली में. लोगों को पता लगेगा कैसे खेल किया इन्होंने.
All right, sir. All right, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, R.P. Singh and Atishi, with those answers and most importantly, those questions. And rightly said, the country is watching. We will come to know the truth very soon. So the raids being conducted currently at 21 locations across 7 states and union territories. And you heard Atishi of the... All right, now we're joined by Saurabh Bharadwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party. Very good morning to you, Saurabh. I'm sure you've been listening to that ongoing debate between Atishi and R.P. Singh. Now, the main question that is being asked by the BJP is, where, what is the accounting for the money trail? What about that 144 crore rebate that you received? That seems to be the main point of contention.
सीबीआई का स्वागत करते हैं। सीबीआई के अलावा और एजेंसीज बहुत सारी हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी के पास ईडी है, इनकम टैक्स है, सबका स्वागत है। ये कोई पहली बार नहीं हुआ कि सीबीआई का केस दर्ज किया गया है। सीबीआई के छापे पहले भी मारे गए हैं। मुख्यमंत्री कार्यालय तक में छापे मारे गए, उप मुख्यमंत्री के यहाँ पहले सीबीआई जा चुकी है। सवाल यह है, मिला क्या? अब तक किसी केस में अगर कुछ मिला हो तो ये बताएं। जब छापा पड़ता है, सीबीआई जाती है, हर जगह खबर चलती है, हर जगह सवाल उठते हैं, बीजेपी वालों को मौका मिल जाता है भ्रष्टाचारी कहने का, मगर निकलता कुछ नहीं है। आज देश के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा दिन था। अमेरिका के सबसे बड़े अखबार न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में फ्रंट पेज पे, पहले पन्ने पे भारत देश के दिल्ली शहर के शिक्षा मॉडल की चर्चा हुई है। उसके अंदर मनीष सिसोदिया जी का एक फोटो छपा है पहले पेज पे, और पूरे देश के, पूरी दुनिया के भारतीयों के अंदर इतनी अच्छी फीलिंग है कि आज देश का नाम अमेरिका के अंदर रोशन हो रहा है। और देश में क्या हो रहा है? प्रधानमंत्री जी, उसी शिक्षा मंत्री जिसकी शिक्षा का डंका पूरे संसार में बज रहा है, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उस शिक्षा मंत्री के घर सीबीआई भेज दी है, उसके यहाँ छापा मारा। ये बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। भ्रष्टाचार की बात भारतीय जनता पार्टी आज पूरे दिन करेगी, क्योंकि छापा मारा ही इसलिए जाता है। सवाल ये उठता है, गुजरात के अंदर शराबबंदी है, सैकड़ों लोग जहरीली नकली शराब से मर रहे हैं। गुजरात के हर गांव के अंदर और हर शहर के अंदर फोन करो, शराब उपलब्ध है। इतना बड़ा नेटवर्क चल रहा है। आपने कभी सुना कि सीबीआई और ईडी की जांच हो रही हो, छापे पड़े हो? नहीं होगी, क्योंकि वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग हैं। गुजरात
Going across to my colleague Rupashi Nanda for more on this. Rupashi, coming to the liquor situation in Delhi, is it true that currently there is a shortage because of this whole confusion over the policy? In fact, the old policy is expected to be phased out in just a few days now, and the new one implemented, and that seems to be a real point of contention for both the parties.
Well, as far as shortage of liquor is concerned, there is no such acute shortage of liquor that would cause people to line up in front of queues or would cause a law and order situation. Remember, the old excise policy of the Aam Aadmi Party's government was given an extension, and that was done after the Aam Aadmi Party's government itself proposed to extend the same policy by 1 more month, so that the situation in Delhi does not deteriorate as far as the liquor is concerned. Remember, during the COVID times when there was a shutdown, when liquor shops actually opened, you saw huge queues in front of those shops and even stampedes happening. So that proposal for extension of the liquor policy was sent to the Lieutenant Governor's office, and the Lieutenant Governor himself had agreed to that, saying that there was essentially no other way out, and the Lieutenant Governor also said that he wants to prevent a law and order situation over here. Now, what is the bone of contention over here? The bone of contention is two. Number one, there has been a loss to the exchequer that the Aam Aadmi Party's government also admits in its cabinet note, and number two is the allegation of quid pro quo. That is something that the courts will have to prove when the case actually goes to the court. Now, it has taken a serious turn now, because as our colleagues are reporting, Manish Sisodia has also been named in the FIR. Now, Aam Aadmi Party sources leadership was essentially looking at whether a preliminary inquiry report will be filed, whether an FIR will be filed, and whether he will be named as an accused. Now, when that has happened, definitely the matter has taken a much more serious turn. Now, number two, the crisis for the Aam Aadmi Party's government over here is that its health minister, former health minister Satyendra Jain, is already in jail, and Manish Sisodia, who is the deputy chief minister, was also handling the portfolios that were handled by the health minister, who also handled home, who also handled PWD. Now, essentially party's top leadership is looking at whether Sisodia is going to be arrested today. They are very aware of the fact that there is a very strong possibility that Manish Sisodia could also be arrested today. Now, if that happens, then who is the other person who is going to take charge of all these portfolios, because work has to continue. Now, in its defense, what has the Aam Aadmi Party said? The Aam Aadmi Party, in fact, Manish Sisodia, after the Lieutenant Governor actually gave the go-ahead for the CBI probe, Sisodia also held a press conference, and he has clearly said that all the changes or recommendations for changes to the excise policy were sent to the then Lieutenant Governor Mr. Anil Baijal not once but twice. And in that, whatever changes the Lieutenant Governor then suggested, that is Mr. Baijal suggested, was incorporated. In that, it was never mentioned that liquor shops cannot open in unauthorized areas. However, just 2 days before the liquor shops were about to open and licenses had already been distributed, the then Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal changed his stand and said that...
Stay with us. You're bringing us a lot of details and we do want to go back to that. But for now, let me go across to some breaking news that's coming in with regards to the raids. Now, the raids are being conducted at 21 locations. We told you 7 states and union territories. Now, we know the names of those states. States covered in those searches are Daman and Diu, Punjab, Delhi, Maharashtra, Telangana. So, the CBI believes that the net is far and wide when it comes to this money trail. Now, these details are being brought to us by Ashish Mershi. Ashish, clearly the ED there believes that the money that has been exchanged in this alleged quid pro quo has travelled a great distance, and they are simultaneously doing these 21 raids. Do we know anything more about the individuals who are being raided in these locations? Okay, now let me try and re-establish that connection. And like I was telling our viewers, the homes of 5 public servants are being investigated currently, and they are being raided. The CBI is at the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister's residence, Manish Sisodia. He has been named in the FIR. Now, I believe we've re-established that connection with Ashish. Ashish, you've brought us the names of those states and union territories. They are flung far and wide. What more do we know about the individuals who are being raided there?
So what we have been told is that there are certain liquor vendors and companies which are involved into this entire scam. So the CBI is a little tight-lipped about the names of the companies as of now, where their things are being raided. But what they are confirming as of now is that 7 states and union territories are being covered, which include Maharashtra, Telangana, Daman and Diu, Delhi, and various other locations. So as we speak, there are 7 states which are being covered, 21 locations which are being covered. But going back to the argument on why these raids are happening, the raids are happening because of 2 reasons. One is that the excise policy was twisted and turned in favor of certain individuals, where around 144 crore rupees was basically wiped out, or you can say it was basically the companies were helped with that kind of money. Apart from that, we already know that there is another note that was basically sent to the Chief Secretary of Delhi.
The Lieutenant Governor's complaint that was sent very pinpointedly explained on how the excise policy was basically twisted and turned. In fact, there were certain decisions which were in violation of the excise policy. There are certain companies which were given licenses where the excise policy said that only 2 licenses or a license can be issued only in 2 zones, but whereas in 3 zones companies were basically given license. There was a policy which said that companies which were involved into manufacturing of liquor, they were not supposed to be given the license. But interestingly, again, a company which was involved into manufacturing, they were also given license for distribution here in Delhi. Not only that, the companies which were basically blacklisted, their PMDs, the earnest money deposit was deposited by a company which was blacklisted in Madhya Pradesh. They were also given the license. There are so many violations, not only one violation which is visible in that has been done by the former excise commissioner, because he's the person who was heading Manish Sisodia. So there are not only one violation of the excise policy, but there are many. But obviously the Aam Aadmi Party says that it was basically everything was being done with the permission or with the knowledge of the former LG, who basically looks after all decisions of the Delhi government. But here the timing was in question, because LG was hardly given any time. The cabinet decisions were taken in haste. Hardly any time was given to the LG, and the decisions were taken by the cabinet and implemented. So here, obviously, the Aam Aadmi Party and Manish Sisodia are on the back foot, but then they have their own side of the story, saying that since Manish Sisodia appeared on the New York Times and his education policy was praised in New York Times. That is why the Central Bureau of Investigation is basically raiding Manish Sisodia and other people related to this policy. So obviously they have their other side of the story, but these cases obviously have to stand on their own legs in the court of law. And obviously CBI and Enforcement Directorate, these organizations do not knock your door until and unless they have substantial evidence with them.
All right, Ashish, as you're pointing out, the AAP's questioning the timing of these raids, but their arguments will have to stand on factual legs. On that note, let's slip into a very short break. August is Financial Freedom Month at Money Control. Under our Financial Freedom offer, you can get a Money Control Pro subscription at net zero cost by claiming exciting offers worth ₹1,500 from our partner brands. Grab the benefits now, only on the Money Control app or website. And with that, I'm leading into a break. I'll catch you on the other side.
Murder of a 9-year-old Dalit boy in Rajasthan's Jalore. Protesters held placards and raised slogans against the Ashok Gehlot government and accused them of disrespecting Dalits. A shocking video of a person pulling a leopard by its tail is going viral. A man is seen holding the leopard by its tail and on one of its hind legs, even as the animal tries to free itself from his clutches. Onlookers are seen filming this from a distance. A young woman was shot in the head in broad daylight in Patna.
The accused is first seen pacing in the area while carrying a bag, waiting for the victim. Then the victim crosses him and keeps walking. The accused then follows her and reaches into the bag and pulls a gun out. He shoots her on the back of her head and flees from the spot. The victim was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Her condition is believed to be critical. Police have identified the accused, but he is yet to be arrested.
The Border Security Force is planning to upgrade its forward posts in Jammu and Kashmir to deal with the growing drone-related incidents from across the border. Now, the plan is to try and procure anti-drone guns. It needs to be lightweight. It also needs to be easy to operate and should be capable of jamming data links. The BSF is also planning, by the way, to upgrade over 100 forward posts across Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, Pakistan is pushing both arms as well as drugs through these drones in this particular region and has been for the last few years. There is widespread devastation in Punjab's Gurdaspur after heavy rains lashed the district.
Flash floods after heavy rains engulfed this road in Gurdaspur. Pretty soon the whole area was flooded, causing residents to panic. Entire fields were left completely inundated. Rescue teams were called in to evacuate marooned residents. Since the roads have turned into rivers, relief teams came on boats. Armed with life jackets, the rescue teams evacuated hundreds and brought them to relief camps.
The face-off between the centre and the Aam Aadmi Party over Rohingyas has escalated. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has written to Home Minister Amit Shah, urging him to clarify the centre's stand on shifting Rohingyas to EWS flats. The BJP has accused the AAP of settling down Rohingya refugees in the national capital.
ऐसी कौन सी मजबूरी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की कि वो मुफ्त में राशन, दाल, पानी, चावल से लेकर बिजली से लेकर अब घर देने तक का काम रोहिंग्या मुसलमान के लिए करने की बात कर रहे हैं.
Now, 14 years after 10 terrorists snuck into Mumbai and unleashed the worst terror attack on Indian soil, it's a bit of deja vu in Maharashtra.
A suspicious boat with AK-47 assault rifles and bullets was found in the sea off the Raigad coast, 200 kilometers from Mumbai. Some locals spotted the boat, which had no crew member on board, and alerted the police. A sticker of Neptune Maritime Security was spotted on the weapons case. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis informed the assembly that the boat was owned by an Australian national and was travelling from Muscat when the engine failed.
ये बोट मस्कत से यूरोप की ओर जा रही थी. बोट का इंजन ये खराब हुआ. कोरियन नेवी के शिप ने इन सभी लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया और हाई टाइड के कारण ये बोट ड्रिफ्ट होते हुए श्रीवर्धन की तरफ आई और श्रीवर्धन के किनारे पर आकर लगी।
Teams of the Maharashtra ATS and NIA rushed to the spot. A high alert has been issued in Mumbai and across the state, while a terror angle is not being ruled out. Authorities are urging people not to panic.
A day after Bollywood star Jacqueline Fernandez was named as an accused in the extortion case linked to conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar, her lawyer claims that she is being victimized. According to Jacqueline's team of lawyers, there are two other actresses who were also witnesses in the case, but they have not been made accused like she has. For the second straight day, Taiwan held military drills amid ongoing tensions with China.
Taiwan's Air Force conducted anti-air drills with missiles and cannons, simulating a response to Chinese missile attack. Taiwanese soldiers operated a Skybow 3 surface-to-air missile system at a base in Hualien. In the last few days, Taiwan has been taunting China by holding military exercises. It shows its ability to resist pressure to accept Beijing's political control. The exercises follow days of Chinese missile firings and incursions.
The CBI team is allegedly at Sisodia's home. This is something that Manish Sisodia, the Deputy Delhi Chief Minister, is saying.
You know, this is not the first time. They were basically anticipating that CBI would be arresting, but at this point in time, he has tweeted and he has said that CBI is at his house and he is welcoming them.
But the fact that the team is there on ground means that prima facie it finds reasons to believe what LG has recommended, that the excise policy must be looked into by the top investigating agencies.
The CBI is at the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's residence now, and it can be said that this is a raid by the Central Bureau of Investigation.
British Prime Ministerial hopeful Rishi Sunak today visited a temple on the occasion of Janmashtami along with his wife Akshata Murthy. In the past, Sunak has openly declared himself as a proud Hindu while calling himself thoroughly British. The latest polls show that the former Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has a 32-point lead over Sunak in the race to 10 Downing. Horrific road accident in Maharashtra's Buldhana was captured on camera.
An auto rickshaw can be seen taking a U-turn when all of a sudden a speeding bike crashes into it. The impact of the crash is so much that the auto is pushed to the
So that's the big story this morning onwards. Manish Sisodia's residence has CBI officials raiding. There are other raids also being carried out in Punjab, in Telangana, in Daman and Diu, in other parts of Delhi and NCR. Sanjay Singh, the Aam Aadmi Party Member of Parliament, has spoken on this matter. Let's listen in.
मनीष सिसोदिया जी के घर पर पहुंच गए, साथ में और भी कई जगह हैं जहां पर कि एक साथ सीबीआई की टीम पहुंची है और तलाशी जारी है। क्या कहना है आपका?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि ये नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार का असली चेहरा देश के सामने करता है। ये घटना ये बताती है कि दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल से, दिल्ली के स्वास्थ्य मॉडल से मोदी जी की सरकार और भारतीय जनता पार्टी परेशान है। आज जो कार्रवाई मनीष सिसोदिया जी के ऊपर हुई, ये पहली बार नहीं हमारे ऊपर छापा, सीबीआई का छापा, ईडी का छापा, कई बार हम लोगों के ऊपर छापे पड़ चुके। आपको याद होगा मुख्यमंत्री के दफ्तर पे सीबीआई का छापा पड़ा था, मनीष सिसोदिया के ऊपर पहले भी सीबीआई का छापा पड़ा था, सत्येंद्र जैन के ऊपर पहले भी सीबीआई का छापा पड़ा था, 40 विधायकों को पकड़ के जेल में डाला, FIR की, बाद में उनको कोर्ट ने बरी किया। तो ये सुंगलू कमेटी एक बनाई थी, 400 फाइलों की जांच कराई, बाद में कह दिया कहीं कुछ नहीं निकला। तो ये बात साबित होती है कि किस तरीके से बदले की भावना से, दुर्भावना से आप कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं मनीष सिसोदिया के खिलाफ। मैं बताना चाहता हूं, मनीष सिसोदिया वो शिक्षा मंत्री हैं जिनके बारे में कल न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स, अमेरिका का अखबार, प्रथम पृष्ठ पे खबर छापता है उनके शिक्षा मॉडल के बारे में, उनकी शिक्षा क्रांति के बारे में, केजरीवाल के मॉडल के बारे में। तो दिल्ली की शिक्षा क्रांति की ख्याति पूरी दुनिया में फैल रही है। इस बात से ये लोग घबराए हुए हैं और इसलिए हमारे स्वास्थ्य मंत्री को जेल में रखा है, हमारे शिक्षा मंत्री के ऊपर सीबीआई का छापा पड़ रहा है। इनको भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ नहीं लड़ना है, नरेंद्र मोदी जी को केजरीवाल और विपक्ष के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करनी है। इनको भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करनी। इनको सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक दुर्भावना से विपक्ष के लोगों को, आम आदमी पार्टी को, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को परेशान करना है।
सर, जो पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा की आप बात कर रहे हैं, हमने खुद भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कई नेताओं से इस बारे में बात की, ये सवाल भी पूछा पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा को लेकर के। उनका ये कहना है कि एक्साइज पॉलिसी में गड़बड़ी थी, तभी तो एक्साइज जो लाइसेंस।
अच्छा, जो जहरीली शराब से मौत हुई 100 से ज्यादा लोगों की गुजरात में, उसमें कोई कार्रवाई किया भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने? नीरव मोदी 20,000 करोड़ लूट के भाग गया, ललित मोदी 3,000 करोड़ लूट के भाग गया, नितिन संदेशरा 6,000 करोड़ लूट के भाग गया, विजय माल्या 9,000 करोड़ लूट के भाग गया, एबीजी शिपयार्ड ने 23,000 करोड़ का घोटाला किया, 42,000 करोड़ का डीएचएफएल ने घोटाला किया, 29 करोड़ रुपए बीजेपी को चंदा दिया। इनके खिलाफ कोई जांच हुई आज तक? येदियुरप्पा के खिलाफ कोई जांच हुई? कोई सजा हुई उसको? रेड्डी ब्रदर्स पे कोई सजा हुई? व्यापम घोटाले में कोई सजा हुई? पूरे देश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के भ्रष्टाचारी देश को लूट रहे हैं और पूंजीपतियों के साथ मिलकर मोदी जी की सरकार लूट रही है। उन पे कहीं का कभी कोई सुनते हैं कि कोई एक पुलिस की भी छोटी सी कार्रवाई हो जाए? तो ये बात बिल्कुल साफ तौर पे देश के लोग देख रहे हैं, समझ में आ रहा है सबको।
लेकिन सर, ये एक्साइज पॉलिसी जो है, इसको फिर कैंसिल।
अरे भाई, ये ऐसे 50 बार कर चुके हैं। आप याद कीजिए, ऐसे ही चिल्ला रहे थे जब राजेंद्र कुमार के ऊपर छापा मारा था। बहुत बड़ा घोटाला मिल गया, बहुत बड़ा भ्रष्टाचार मिल गया, इतने फ्लैट, इतनी कंपनियां, कहां गया? कुछ हुआ आज तक? तो इसलिए मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि इस पॉलिसी को लेकर कई बार मनीष सिसोदिया जी ने और हमारी पार्टी ने स्पष्ट रूप से कहा। अच्छा, यही पॉलिसी को लेकर बैजल पे रिकमेंड किया है सीबीआई जांच के लिए। बैजल के लिए चिट्ठी लिखा है मनीष सिसोदिया जी ने, छापा पड़ा बैजल के ऊपर। क्यों? क्योंकि उनके माध्यम से भाजपा
उस लूट की बात दिल्ली की जनता कर रही थी, गली गली में महिलाएं कर रही थी, बच्चे कर रहे थे, मंदिरों के सामने, मस्जिदों के सामने, गुरुद्वारों के सामने, देवालयों के सामने बैठे हुए लोग, जहां शराब की दुकानें खुल रही थी, गली गली में शराब की दुकान खोल रही थी, सभी इसकी बात कर रहे थे, पुकार कर रहे थे कि ये बड़ी लूट है, एक बड़ी साजिश है, इस पे इसका दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी होना चाहिए। आज जब से सीबीआई इंक्वायरी हुई, सीबीआई की आज रेड पड़ी है, अब इनको इसमें क्या परेशानी हो रही है कि जो भी हुआ है उसका दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो। ये आबकारी नीति जिसके ऊपर एक बड़ी लूट हुई और जैसे ही जांच बैठती है, आम आदमी पार्टी की दिल्ली के
भी सीबीआई का छापा मारा, क्या निकला? कुछ नहीं। मसला क्या है? मसला यह है कि कल दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल की मनीष सिसोदिया जी की पहले पेज पे फोटो छपी अमेरिका के न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में। परेशानी इससे होती भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कि दिल्ली का शिक्षा मॉडल, मनीष सिसोदिया का शिक्षा मॉडल, केजरीवाल का शिक्षा मॉडल कैसे पूरे दुनिया में प्रचारित हो रहा है। इसलिए स्वास्थ्य मंत्री को जेल में डालो, अब शिक्षा मंत्री के ऊपर कार्रवाई करो। तो इन कार्रवाइयों में कुछ निकलना नहीं है और ये बात बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हो गई कि मोदी जी की लड़ाई कोई भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ नहीं है। उनकी लड़ाई सीधे तौर पे केजरीवाल और विपक्ष के खिलाफ है, जो वो कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं।
क्या रणनीति रहेगी आम आदमी पार्टी के आगे सर, और आपको क्या लगता है कि ये आम आदमी की छवि धूमिल करने के लिए की जा रही है?
लगातार वही कोशिश हो रही है, पहले भी यही कोशिश हुई। छवि धूमिल करने के अलावा बताइए और है क्या? नीरव मोदी 20,000 करोड़ लूट के बैठा है, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। 9,000 करोड़ लूट के भाग गया विजय माल्या, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। नितिन संदेशरा 6,000 करोड़ लूट के बैठा, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। 3,000 करोड़ लेके ललित मोदी लूट के बैठा, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। 42,000 करोड़ का घोटाला डीएचएफएल ने किया, जिससे 29 करोड़ रुपए बीजेपी ने चंदा लिया है, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। एबीजी शिपयार्ड में 23,000 करोड़ का घोटाला हुआ, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। अडानी के पोर्ट पे हजारों करोड़ की ड्रग्स पकड़ी गई, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करते। कितनी कार्रवाइयां बताऊं? येदियुरप्पा के खिलाफ कुछ हुआ? व्यापम घोटाले में कुछ हुआ? कुछ हुआ इन चीजों में, इन घोटालों में? रेड्डी ब्रदर्स पे कुछ हुआ? गए जेल वो लोग? हुई कोई कार्रवाई? तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का असली चेहरा पूरे देश और दुनिया के सामने बेनकाब हो रहा है।
So that was senior MP Sanjay Singh speaking to CNN News 18, where he has said that all this is being done to demolish the image or the corruption-free image of the Aam Aadmi Party. Now it remains to be seen these raids that have been going on since 8 a.m. what comes out of these raids, and if the Aam Aadmi Party can actually put out its defense on this attack by the central agencies.
So that was Anshul Singh speaking to Sanjay Singh, Member of Parliament of the Aam Aadmi Party. Akash Sharma is joining me live from Manish Sisodia's residence. Rupashri is tracking the Aam Aadmi Party's reaction. Ananya Bhatnagar is at the residence of the Lieutenant Governor. First to you, Akash, any update that you have for us? I believe CBI officials are scrutinizing whatever files, documents they can lay their hands on at Mr. Sisodia's residence.
So, Arunima, this is the only information that we have, that CBI officers are very much inside this particular house. And if I can ask my VJ Vikas to show you the visual, this is the official residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. And we are learning that around 8 to 8:15, CBI officers reached this particular place. And since then, they are looking for some document, some official document, and are searching this particular place. Also, we are learning that other than this place, 21 other locations are also there. In fact, we are learning that all those 11 officers who were suspended just a few days back are being searched as of now in 21 locations. This is what we have learned. Further, Aam Aadmi Party is calling it a vendetta politics, and on the other hand, we are seeing BJP, which is calling it a routine investigation, normal investigation, because they are saying that central government has nothing to do with it. CBI is doing its work. Also, this all started with the recommendation that were initiated by a Lieutenant Governor, where it was said that some financial quid pro quo happened in the excise policy that was implemented in November 2021, and talking about that particular policy, the whole Delhi was divided into 32 zones, and then licenses were given. Initially, it was decided that now we'll be having, liquor shops in the unauthorized colonies as well. But later we had an argument where Aam Aadmi Party said that initially it was, passed, but later, some questions were raised on the particular point where it was said that now, even unauthorized colonies will be seeing the liquor shops. And that's the reason why we are, hearing the name of previous LG of Delhi, Anil Baijal, because they are saying that Anil Baijal at last point raised some sort of question, and that's the reason why they could not open shops in the unauthorized colonies. And that's the reason why those who were provided with these licenses, they went to court, and that's the reason why, we face some sort of loss in the exchequer. Also, at this point in time, we are seeing some political developments. In fact, the war of words between the BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, where BJP on one hand is saying that just because you are corrupt, you have violated the norms, rules and regulations. That's the reason why CBI is at your place and is doing the investigation. On the other hand, we have Aam Aadmi Party leaders who are clearly saying at this point in time that BJP is, in fact, central government is misusing central agencies, and after Satin Jain, Manish Sisodia is the minister who is targeted as of now. Arunima.
Right. So Akash, they're explaining what's happening at the heart of these raids, Sisodia's residence. Rupashri Nanda, we heard Sanjay Singh, we've heard other leaders from the Aam Aadmi Party. They're all, braving it out, brazening it out. But do you get a sense that since their senior minister, Satyendra Jain, is already in custody for so long, bail has been denied, these searches have rattled the Aam Aadmi Party?
Well, definitely it is not a comfortable situation, if I may put it that way. But also remember, Arunima, Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal was absolutely prepared for this. And we know this because we have been in touch with him. And he clearly told us that it is extremely likely that Manish Sisodia is going to be arrested very soon. And he just did not tell that to reporters off the hand, but he also held press conferences. And he said that on the 5th of July and on the 22nd of July, that by the end of August, Manish Sisodia is going to be arrested. Now, there is a crisis for the Aam Aadmi Party. Now, what is the crisis? The first is the crisis of governance. Now, if Sisodia is going to be actually arrested today, we do not know whether that is going to happen. Then who is the minister that Arvind Kejriwal is going to hand over the portfolios that Sisodia handles, along with the ones that Satyendra Jain handles? Because remember, Manish Sisodia was now handling all the portfolios that were held by Satyendra Jain, because even though the minister continues to be in jail, he still continues to be a minister. Aam Aadmi Party is completely prepared to fight it out. Aam Aadmi Party has a strategy in place. They have lawyers also ready who would be fighting this case in the court when it goes to the court over there. The point that the Aam Aadmi Party's leaders were looking out for is that when is the preliminary inquiry report going to be filed, and whether Sisodia is going to be named as an accused in that FIR. Now that has already happened, as many colleagues are pointing out. Aam Aadmi Party will fight it out in the court and is going to fight it out also in the public domain and you saw all the leaders, they're all speaking in one voice saying that this is political vendetta by the BJP. BJP.
All right.
On the other hand, the BJP is actually latching on to this opportunity to dent Aam Aadmi Party's clean image, because that is the Aam Aadmi Party believes is its USP. A clean image and honest governance is a government that delivers is what differentiates the Aam Aadmi Party from the other parties, is what Arvind Kejriwal has consistently told to the people in election-bound states and elsewhere.
Right.
And that
All
is
right.
the image that the BJP is trying to dent with its various leaders speaking
right.
out vociferously against the liquor policy of the Delhi government.
Right. Rupashi, Ananya and Akash, please do hold on. I'm slipping into a very quick break, but when I come back, I'm going to discuss this matter further as to what is the evidence that CBI has found in its preliminary inquiry that it has finally registered an FIR. Stay with us, coming back after a very quick break.
The CBI team is allegedly at Sisodia's home. This is something that Manish Sisodia, the Deputy Delhi Chief Minister, is saying.
You know, this is not the first time. They were basically anticipating that CBI would be arresting, but at this point in time, he has tweeted and he has said that CBI is at his house and he is welcoming them.
But the fact that the team is there on ground means that prima facie it finds reasons to believe what LG has recommended, that the excise policy must be looked into by the top investigating agencies.
The CBI is at the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's residence now, and it can be said that this is a raid by the Central Bureau of Investigation.
To aid. That's not all. China and the United States are competing to expand their naval fleet in the Indo-Pacific. The US Navy will add more than 500 ships by 2045. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Kiev today. Zelensky urged the UN to ensure the security of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is currently under Russian occupation. British Prime Ministerial hopeful Rishi Sunak today visited a temple on the occasion of Janmashtami along with his wife Akshata Murthy. In the past, Sunak has openly declared himself as a proud Hindu while calling himself thoroughly British. The latest polls show that the former Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has a 32-point lead over Sunak in the race to 10 Downing. Horrific road accident in Maharashtra's Buldhana was captured on camera.
An auto rickshaw can be seen taking a U-turn when all of a sudden a speeding bike crashes into it. The impact of the crash is so much that the auto is pushed to the other side of the road, and the biker and pillion rider are flung off the two-wheeler. Bystanders rush to assist the injured bikers. The occupants of the auto also manage to step out of the vehicle. The bikers are rushed to a hospital and undergo treatment.
The Aam Aadmi Party workers staged a massive protest today outside the Congress headquarters over the murder of a 9-year-old Dalit boy in Rajasthan's Jalore. Protesters held placards and raised slogans against the Ashok Gehlot government and accused them of disrespecting Dalits. A shocking video of a person pulling a leopard by its tail is going viral. A man is seen holding the leopard by its tail and on one of its hind legs, even as the animal tries to free itself from his clutches. Onlookers are seen filming this from a distance. A young woman was shot in the head in broad daylight in Patna.
The accused is first seen pacing in the area while carrying a bag, waiting for the victim. Then the victim crosses him and keeps walking. The accused then follows her and reaches into the bag and pulls a gun out. He shoots her on the back of her head and flees from the spot. The victim was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Her condition is believed to be critical. Police have identified the accused, but he is yet to be arrested.
The Border Security Force is planning to upgrade its forward posts in Jammu and Kashmir to deal with the growing drone-related incidents from across the border. Now, the plan is to try and procure anti-drone guns. It needs to be lightweight. It also needs to be easy to operate and should be capable of jamming data links. The BSF is also planning, by the way, to upgrade over 100 forward posts across Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, Pakistan is pushing both arms as well as drugs through these drones in this particular region and has been for the last few years. There is widespread devastation in Punjab's Gurdaspur after heavy rains lashed the district.
Flash floods after heavy rains engulfed this road in Gurdaspur. Pretty soon.
The big story that we are tracking, CBI is carrying out searches at 21 locations in connection with the Delhi excise policy matter. Manish Sisodia, the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, has been named in the FIR. The Aam Aadmi Party is calling this vendetta politics, but the BJP is questioning why, Aam Aadmi Party is so scared. What is it that they have to hide? Let the CBI investigate and tell us what is the correct picture. Now, this entire matter began when the new Lieutenant Governor of Delhi actually wrote to CBI and wrote to the central government saying that there are prima facie discrepancies in the excise policies which must be looked into. Ananya Bhatnagar is at the Lieutenant Governor's house, joining us live at the moment. Ananya, any word from the LG's office? It was LG who flagged off the alleged discrepancies leading to the PE and now to the FIR.
Well, yes, definitely we tried to contact the LG's office, but then the LG office has clearly denied to give any kind of a statement as of now, because they say that these are only raids that are being conducted as of now. And remember that it was the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi who had, in fact, the new Lieutenant Governor of Delhi who had recommended for a Central Bureau of Investigation probe into this particular matter. A huge amount of evidence was produced by the Lieutenant Governor while recommending the matter to Central Bureau of Investigation, and now an FIR has been registered. We also tried contacting our sources in the Aam Aadmi Party legal cell. They are though deliberating the legal options to be explored, but then there is no decision yet as to whether anticipatory bail should be filed on behalf of Mr. Manish Sisodia or not, because remember, this is a very, very preliminary stage. But politics is definitely on into this particular issue. But then what we have to remember is that in case of CBI, whenever CBI registers a case, it first files a preliminary inquiry and then registers a regular case.
Ananya, just hold on a moment. You've given us a very important news break. I want it to the notice of the viewers. This is what Ananya Bhatnagar is learning, that the Aam Aadmi Party's legal team is deliberating on legal options. However, no decision has been taken yet to move or to make a move like an anticipatory bail as of now, though the legal team is looking at all options that they have. Ananya, that information that you're bringing to us, where is Manish Sisodia, and his presence is required if anything like moving for an anticipatory bail is needed?
Well, yeah, definitely his presence is not required, in fact, to file an anticipatory bail, because usually anticipatory bail is filed when a person is apprehensive of his arrest, and he does not need to appear before a court of law in order to get his anticipatory bail application listed. It's just that he has to file a wakalatnama to his lawyers, and then they can definitely approach the court and file an anticipatory bail application. But then this is a very, very preliminary stage, Arunima, we have to remember, because these are only raids being conducted at this point of time, and no kind of, in fact, not even Sisodia has not even been called for questioning at this moment of time, though his residents are being raided. And only after these raids are concluded, we might see a further action of the Central Bureau of Investigation. And as I was pointing it out earlier as well, that in case of CBI, it first registers a preliminary inquiry, that is a PE, then registers in fact a regular case, that is a RC, which we call in general terms a FIR. So now in this case particularly, only after a preliminary inquiry and the recommendation of the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, now the Central Bureau of Investigation has started on it with its raids and has registered a proper case into this particular matter. So we'll have to wait as to when these raids conclude, because that would tell us as to what amount of material has been recovered, because remember, whenever a CBI or ED arrests somebody, it has to have material evidence in its hand. It is under the DSPE, and also if at all ED also jumps into this case under PMLA as well, there has to be material evidence and reasonable belief to arrest a particular person. So that is a different story. But then at this point of time, it's a very, very preliminary stage, though the Aam Aadmi Party legal cell is very, very closely monitoring all these developments, all these raids that are taking place, and is trying, in fact, that somewhere or the other some way could be churned out, and somewhere or the other Manish Sisodia can be saved. But then definitely political war is definitely on into this particular matter, while the BJP is hitting out at the image that Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party portrays, that it has a clean government. And definitely a big blow to the Aam Aadmi Party after this is the second very, very important minister of this Delhi cabinet that is being raided, and in fact is under the scanner of the central agencies after Satyen Jain, who's currently inside the jail. And a lot of controversy, in fact, if you remember, had also happened of Satyen Jain being examined at the LNJP hospital, because various petitions were filed that he should not be examined at a Delhi government hospital and should be referred to an independent medical body. However, the matter was later withdrawn. But a very, very big blow to the Aam Aadmi Party government, and the Aam Aadmi Party legal cell is also closely tracking all the developments in order to churn out a legal way possible for Manish Sisodia.
All right, Ananya, thank you so much for all those details. The very fact that Manish Sisodia has been named in the FIR means CBI believes they have enough evidence against him. But what are the political ramifications of this? We'll discuss this with my colleagues on the other side of this very quick break. Stay with us.
And raised slogans against the Ashok Gehlot government and accused them of disrespecting Dalits. A shocking video of a person pulling a leopard by its tail is going viral. A man is seen holding the leopard by its tail and on one of its hind legs, even as the animal tries to free itself from his clutches. Onlookers are seen filming this from a distance. A young woman was shot in the head in broad daylight in Patna.
The accused is first seen pacing in the area while carrying a bag, waiting for the victim. Then the victim crosses him and keeps walking. The accused then follows her and reaches into the bag and pulls a gun out. He shoots her on the back of her head and flees from the spot. The victim was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Her condition is believed to be critical. Police have identified the accused, but he is yet to be arrested.
The Border Security Force is planning to upgrade its forward posts in Jammu and Kashmir to deal with the growing drone-related incidents from across the border. Now, the plan is to try and procure anti-drone guns. It needs to be lightweight. It also needs to be easy to operate and should be capable of jamming data links. The BSF is also planning, by the way, to upgrade over 100 forward posts across Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, Pakistan is pushing both arms as well as drugs through these drones in this particular region and has been for the last few years. There is widespread devastation in Punjab's Gurdaspur after heavy rains lashed the district.
Flash floods after heavy rains engulfed this road in Gurdaspur. Pretty soon the whole area was flooded, causing residents to panic. Entire fields were left completely inundated. Rescue teams were called in to evacuate marooned residents. Since the roads have turned into rivers, relief teams came on boats. Armed with life jackets, the rescue teams evacuated hundreds and brought them to relief camps.
The face-off between the centre and the Aam Aadmi Party over Rohingyas has escalated. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has written to Home Minister Amit Shah, urging him to clarify the centre's stand on shifting Rohingyas to EWS flats. The BJP has accused the AAP of settling down Rohingya refugees in the national capital.
ऐसी कौन सी मजबूरी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की कि वो मुफ्त में राशन, दाल, पानी, चावल से लेकर बिजली से लेकर अब घर देने तक का काम रोहिंग्या मुसलमान के लिए करने की बात कर रहे हैं.
Now, 14 years after 10 terrorists snuck into Mumbai and unleashed the worst terror attack on Indian soil, it's a bit of deja vu in Maharashtra.
A suspicious boat with AK-47 assault rifles and bullets was found in the sea off the Raigad coast, 200 kilometers from Mumbai. Some locals spotted the boat, which had no crew member on board, and alerted the police. A sticker of Neptune Maritime Security was spotted on the weapons case. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis informed the assembly that the boat was owned by an Australian national and was travelling from Muscat when the engine failed.
ये बोट मस्कत से यूरोप की ओर जा रही थी. बोट का इंजन ये खराब हुआ. कोरियन नेवी के शिप ने इन सभी लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया और हाई टाइड के कारण ये बोट ड्रिफ्ट होते हुए श्रीवर्धन की तरफ आई और श्रीवर्धन के किनारे पर आकर लगी.
Teams of the Maharashtra ATS and NIA rushed to the spot. A high alert has been issued in Mumbai and across the state, while a terror angle is not being ruled out. Authorities are urging people not to panic.
A day after Bollywood star Jacqueline Fernandez was named as an accused in the extortion case linked to conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar, her lawyer claims that she is being victimized. According to
The CBI team is allegedly at Sisodia's home. This is something that Manish Sisodia, the Deputy Delhi Chief Minister, is saying.
This is not the first time. They were basically anticipating that CBI would be arresting, but at this point in time, he has tweeted and he has said that CBI is at his house and he is welcoming them.
The fact that the team is there on ground means that prima facie it finds reasons to believe what LG has recommended, that the excise policy must be looked into by the top investigating agencies.
The CBI is at the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's residence now, and it can be said that this is a raid by the Central Bureau of Investigation.
Morning, you're watching CNN News 18. I'm Arunima. Top focus, CBI raids against Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. CBI has registered an FIR against the Delhi Minister on charges of causing loss to the exchequer and criminal conspiracy in the excise policy matter. Aam Aadmi Party is calling this vendetta politics, but BJP is citing the raids as proof of skeletons in AAP's cupboard. Now, Manoj Tiwari, the Bharatiya Janata Party Member of Parliament, has spoken to CNN News 18 on this matter. Let's listen.
Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's house being raided by the Central Bureau of Investigation, and he's crying vendetta by Bharatiya Janata Party government. We have BJP's Member of Parliament Manoj Tiwari with us. Manoj ji, मनीष सिसोदिया कह रहे हैं कि सीबीआई का हमारे घर पे स्वागत है, कुछ सीबीआई को नहीं मिलने वाला है, और साथ ही साथ आप लोग जो है वो बदले की भावना से इन एजेंसियों का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं।
बहुत अच्छी बात है। अच्छा होता सबसे पहले वो यही ट्वीट करते कि सीबीआई का स्वागत है, लेकिन सबसे पहले उनका ट्वीट ये नहीं आया। सबसे पहले तो लगे अपनी शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य नीति समझाने। ये शिक्षा नीति पे कार्रवाई नहीं है, ये शराब नीति पे कार्रवाई है। आबकारी नीति जो दिल्ली सरकार ने बनाई, और जिस दिन जांच शुरू होती है उस दिन इन्होंने तुरंत शराब नीति को बदल दिया, आबकारी नीति को बदल दी। जबकि इसकी पूरी क्रोनोलॉजी को समझें तो कोरोना के टाइम में जब पूरा दिल्ली ऑक्सीजन और दवाइयों के लिए चित्कार कर रहा था, तब ये शराब नीति बना रहे थे। थोड़े समय बाद ये पीसी कर रहे थे कि रेवेन्यू बढ़ाना है, इसलिए हमें शराब नीति लाना है। और इन्होंने ऐसा अनैतिक कार्य किया कि 21 साल शराब पीने की जो आयु रखी गई है संवैधानिक, उसको भी 3 साल घटा दिया। बोले नहीं नहीं 18 साल से ही शराब पियो। अब हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि आप कौन सी शिक्षा देते हो जो शराब पिला पिला के दी जाती है। आप कौन सा स्वास्थ्य देते हो जो शराब पिला पिला के देते हैं। बच्चों को भी शराब पिलाएंगे आप, और स्कूल के सामने खोल देंगे, गुरुद्वारे के सामने खोल देंगे, मंदिर मस्जिद जितने देवालय हैं। जैसे ही इन लोगों के ऊपर जांच शुरू होती है, ये धड़ाक 2 दिन के अंदर आबकारी नीति बदल दी।
आपके ऊपर डर बता रहे हैं कि आप डर में हैं। हमारा खबर जो है वो न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में छपी है, अमेरिका का इतना बड़ा अखबार है, और जो है आप डर की भावना से इस तरह से इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं एजेंसियों।
भाई हमको डर तो है, लेकिन हमको डर इस बात का है कि पूरा दिल्ली का खजाना खाली करके कहीं विदेश भागने की तो तैयारी नहीं कर रहा है सब। डर ये है हमको। बाकी तो हम दिल्ली के सांसद हैं, हमको सब पता है यहाँ शिक्षा की व्यवस्था क्या है, स्वास्थ्य की व्यवस्था क्या है। ये हमारे साथ कभी घूम के गलियों में देखा जाए। मैं मानता हूं कि हमारा डर यही है कि ये दिल्ली के खजाने को लूट लिए। अभी 2 दिन पहले मैंने हिसाब मांगा, 1,51,564 करोड़। मैं पूछ रहा हूं, आप दिल्ली सरकार कह रही है कि डीटीसी 38,000 करोड़ के घाटे में है। वेयर इज बैलेंस शीट? नहीं, बैलेंस शीट नहीं है। अच्छा, ऐसी घाटे में कर दिए। 58,000 करोड़ रुपया जल बोर्ड पे लोन है। वेयर इज बैलेंस शीट? बैलेंस शीट नहीं है। 16 के बाद बैलेंस शीट नहीं है। तो ये सारे 1,51,564 करोड़ और ये जो लूट हुई है आबकारी नीति में, इसका तो हिसाब देना पड़े। हमारी चिंता ये है।
पर मनोज जी, वो तो आपके जो पुराने एलजी हैं उनके ऊपर सवाल उठा रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं कि उनके पास फाइल्स गई थी, उन्होंने अप्रूवल दिया था, चेंजेस जो कि बोले थे वो भी हमने किए, उसके बाद अब सवाल उठा रहा है आपके जो दूसरे एलजी आए।
हाँ, अब ये देखिए, उसी को मैं क्रोनोलॉजी बोल रहा हूं। पहले क्या बोला, हमें रेवेन्यू बढ़ाना है। दूसरी बार क्या, नहीं हमें छोटे बच्चों को भी पिलाना है।
So that's the update that is coming in. BJP continues to question why the Aam Aadmi Party is, alleging vendetta politics instead of welcoming the CBI probe. Akash Sharma is joining me live from Sisodia's residence. Rupashri Nanda is there at the Aam Aadmi Party convener's residence as well. Rupashri, talking about Manish Sisodia specifically, Alka Lamba, the Congress leader this morning, said that he was hiding. He was in Himachal Pradesh. What do we know about Sisodia's location at the moment?
Well, my sources are clearly telling me that Manish Sisodia currently is at his residence. He is not in Himachal Pradesh or elsewhere. He is at his residence at the moment when the raids are going on. I have confirmed this from two sources, and it remains to be seen when actually Sisodia emerges after the CBI raids are completely over. I am standing in front of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence, and he is closely monitoring the situation, including options that the government or the party has to take legally. Now, remember, even before this had happened, Aam Aadmi Party had actually, sort of thrashed out a strategy, both political and legal, in order to take on this situation. Because as I had been pointing out earlier also, Arvind Kejriwal as Chief Minister had already said on two occasions in July 5th and July 22nd, that it is very soon that Manish Sisodia is going to be arrested, and he had strongly defended his education minister. He had also said that he has known Sisodia for 22 years and Sisodia is an honest man. But remember, this is a case now, and with Sisodia being named in that FIR, it has acquired a more serious turn, because now the Aam Aadmi Party will have to fight it out in the court also. The other situation that may arise is that if Sisodia is going to be arrested, as it is being feared and anticipated by all the top leadership of the Aam Aadmi Party and the government, then what option does Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal have in order to run his government? Because remember, Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia are the pillars of his government. They are the key faces of his government. They are the ones who he entrusts the most important tasks of the government, that is health and education, revenue, home. All these portfolios are handled by these two ministers. So that is the call that the Chief Minister will have to take, because remember, Satyendra Jain continues to be a minister, even though Manish Sisodia now handles all the portfolios that were being handled by Satyendra Jain. The other important point over here to note essentially is essentially how this is going to pan out politically, because remember, the BJP has got an opportunity, and it is latching on to that opportunity to dent the image that the Aam Aadmi Party has tried to sell in the eyes of the people, that is of a pro-people, clean government.
Give me a moment. There's more information coming in as far as the CBI's raids are concerned. Now we are learning that CBI raids are also going on at the former excise department officer Anand Kumar Tiwari's residence as well. This is in New Delhi. So there are 4 public servants who are under the scanner of CBI. 2 of them are former excise officers. One is Mr. Anand Tiwari. The information that we just have is that former excise DC is being raided. Anand Kumar Tiwari's residence is being raided by CBI. Total 21 locations, including that of 4 public servants. Akash has been keeping an eye on the CBI's movement. Akash, any further detail on this?
So, Arunima, till now we were learning that 21 locations are being searched, but at this point in time, Anand Kumar Tiwari, as you rightly mentioned, who has his house in Delhi, we are learning that one CBI team is at his place as well, and he is the former officer and DC as well. And at this point in time, talking about these officers, so those we saw in the past a few days that those officers, 11 officers in total, were suspended just a few days back, and these officers were suspended because they were somewhere linked with the particular policy that is being talked about. Also, on July 22nd, we saw that how initially this was recommended, and after that we saw that how Arva Gopi Krishnan was very much in news just because he was the excise commissioner then. So at this point in time, Anand Tiwari is the latest name that we are learning that CBI team has reached to his residence as well. And as far as these officers are concerned, so not only these 4 officers, but we are learning that some more officers are in line, because CBI officers are basically looking for some relevant documents related to this excise policy, because it was initially alleged that some relaxations were given to the near and dear ones, and not only the near and dear ones of Manish Sisodia, but also who were very close to these officers, and that's the reason why these officers' name, have emerged. And at this point in time, this is the latest development that other than the residence of Manish Sisodia, who is the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, officers are basically searching for relevant documents and, some relevant things related to this excise policy at these officers' place as well.
Right. Akash, Rupashri is also pointing out that Manish Sisodia is very much at home. Any information coming in from inside as to whether CBI is recording a statement of the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister if he's being asked to explain any of the documents that the CBI officials have seized?
So this is what we have learned. In fact, our sources are telling that, Manish Sisodia is very much here in the house. And if I can show you the visuals again, if I can ask my cameraman Vikas Rawat to show you the visuals again of this particular house. And if you can see that his car is very much here, but, we haven't seen Manish Sisodia. In fact, we are trying to look into the house as well, but we haven't got any sort of...
पार्टी जीती। दिल्ली और पंजाब जीतने के बाद अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की लोकप्रियता पूरे देश में बढ़ रही है। पूरे देश में केजरीवाल का संदेश शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य का मॉडल पहुंच रहा है। पूरे देश में केजरीवाल के नाम पर लोग जुड़ रहे हैं, आम आदमी पार्टी से जुड़ रहे हैं। अभी 2 दिन पहले भारत को दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश बनाने का एक अभियान उन्होंने शुरू किया, जिसके समर्थन में देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों के लोग जुड़ रहे हैं। नरेंद्र मोदी जी के गृह राज्य गुजरात तक में उसमें बड़ा समर्थन हमें मिल रहा है। और जब केजरीवाल की लोकप्रियता बढ़ रही है, केजरीवाल चुनाव में जीत रहे हैं, एक के बाद दूसरा स्टेट, दूसरे के बाद तीसरे स्टेट में पहुंच रहे हैं, तो उसका सबसे प्रमुख कारण है दिल्ली का शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य का मॉडल। दिल्ली के शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य की क्रांति। इस बात से परेशान होकर, इस बात से हैरान होकर नरेंद्र मोदी जी को रात में नींद नहीं आती। उनको सिर्फ एक ही चिंता लगी रहती है कि कैसे केजरीवाल को रोकना है, कैसे शिक्षा मॉडल को रोकना है, कैसे स्वास्थ्य को मॉडल को रोकना है। लेकिन मोदी जी, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं, ना अब केजरीवाल आपसे रुकने वाले हैं, ना शिक्षा का मॉडल रुकने वाला है, और ना ही स्वास्थ्य का मॉडल रुकने वाला है। आपने हमारे स्वास्थ्य मंत्री को, जिसने मोहल्ला क्लिनिक का मॉडल पूरे दुनिया को दिया, जिसने पूरे देश में स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में क्रांति की, उसको उठा के जेल में डाल दिया। हमारे शिक्षा मंत्री को जेल में डालने की तैयारी है। शिक्षा मंत्री को जेल में डालने की तैयारी कैसे हुई, कब हुई? बहाना क्या लिया जा रहा है? शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य 2 ऐसा क्षेत्र है जहां पर केजरीवाल का मॉडल, दिल्ली का मॉडल पूरे दुनिया और पूरे देश में लोकप्रिय हो रहा है। अमेरिका का वो अखबार जो नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार के बारे में छापता है कि कोरोना के दौरान लाखों लोगों की मृत्यु हुई, अमेरिका का वो न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स अखबार जो मोदी सरकार की असलियत को पूरी दुनिया के सामने रखता है, वही अमेरिका का न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स अखबार कल मनीष सिसोदिया की फोटो के साथ दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल की चर्चा करता है। मनीष सिसोदिया के फोटो के साथ दिल्ली के शिक्षा क्रांति की चर्चा करता है, केजरीवाल के मॉडल की चर्चा करता है। इस बात पर पूरे देश को खुश होना चाहिए। पूरा देश इससे खुश है कि आज पूरे दुनिया में मनीष सिसोदिया की चर्चा हो रही है, पूरे दुनिया में उनके शिक्षा क्रांति की चर्चा हो रही है, पूरे दुनिया में केजरीवाल मॉडल की सराहना हो रही है। लेकिन शर्म आती है हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री की सोच इतने छोटे स्तर की सोच है कि दूसरे दिन ही वो मनीष सिसोदिया के घर पे सीबीआई भेज देते हैं। उनको खुश होना चाहिए था कि मनीष सिसोदिया के शिक्षा मॉडल की चर्चा आज पूरी दुनिया में हो रही है, लेकिन वो बौखला कर दूसरे दिन सीबीआई का छापा डलवा देते हैं। और मसला शराब नीति नहीं है, याद रखिएगा। मकसद शराब नीति की जांच कराना नहीं है, याद रखिएगा। किसी को गलतफहमी हो तो अपने दिमाग से दूर कर लीजिए। मकसद एक ही है, अरविंद केजरीवाल की बढ़ती लोकप्रियता को रोकना। अगर शराब नीति मसला होता, अगर शराब मुद्दा होता, तो सबसे पहली जांच गुजरात के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के जो नेता नकली शराब बनाते हैं, जहरीली शराब बनाते हैं, सैकड़ों लोगों की जान चली जाती है वो जहरीली शराब बनाकर, तो जांच तो उनके खिलाफ होनी चाहिए थी। जांच की शुरुआत तो उनके खिलाफ होनी चाहिए थी। उनके खिलाफ कोई ईडी, कोई सीबीआई, किसी एजेंसी ने कोई जांच की? तो इसलिए शराब मुद्दा नहीं है, मुद्दा है अरविंद केजरीवाल की मॉडल को, शिक्षा के, स्वास्थ्य के मॉडल को रोकना, दिल्ली के मॉडल को रोकना। लेकिन मैं मोदी जी आपसे बहुत साफ तौर पे कहना चाहता हूं, अपनी इस छोटी सोच से बाहर आइए, बड़े मन से काम कीजिए। अब केजरीवाल आपसे रुकने वाले नहीं है, दिल्ली का शिक्षा मॉडल आपसे रुकने वाला नहीं है, स्वास्थ्य का मॉडल रुकने वाला नहीं है। पहले भी आपने सैकड़ों प्रयास किए हैं, अब भी कर लीजिए। पहले भी आपने मुख्यमंत्री के दफ्तर पे सीबीआई का छापा मारा है, क्या निकला? आज तक कुछ नहीं निकला। मनीष सिसोदिया पे सीबीआई का छापा मार चुके हैं, क्या निकला? कुछ नहीं निकला। हमारे 40 विधायकों को पकड़ के जेल में डाला, कुछ क्या निकला? कुछ नहीं निकला। अब रोज सीबीआई ईडी, इन एजेंसियों को, दिल्ली पुलिस, इनको आपने मजाक बना रखा है। कराइए जांच, और हम तो स्वागत करते हैं, आप जांच कराइए जितनी जांच करा सकते हैं। न पहले कुछ निकला, ना अब कुछ निकलेगा। आपका चेहरा जरूर पूरे देश के सामने बेनकाब होगा। यह मैं बीजेपी और नरेंद्र मोदी जी से कहना चाहता हूं। मुझे इतनी बात कहनी थी, आपका कोई प्रश्न हो तो आप पूछ सकते हैं।
संजय जी, मनीष जी के यहाँ पीछे सीबीआई के रेड पड़ा है, वो शराब नीति को लेकर, दिल्ली एक्साइज पॉलिसी की आप तमाम बातें कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उस पॉलिसी के अंदर में जो आरोप लगा है कि शराब कारोबारियों को मुनाफा पहुंचाया गया, 144.36 करोड़ का जो फीस है माफ किया गया, नीतियों के अगेंस्ट जाके काम हुआ, ये सब कुछ पब्लिक
इन सारी बातों पर 1000 बार जवाब दे चुके हैं हम लोग। इन सारी बातों का जवाब मनीष सिसोदिया जी दे चुके हैं, पूरी पार्टी दे चुकी है। मैं आपसे पूछ तो रहा हूं, अगर शराब मुद्दा है तो गुजरात में जांच क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए? जहां पे जहरीली शराब से बीजेपी नेताओं ने, एक जिला पंचायत का सदस्य पकड़ा गया था भाजपा का, जिसके घर में जहरीली शराब, नकली शराब बन रही थी। क्या कार्रवाई हुई ईडी सीबीआई की? क्या कार्रवाई होती है बीजेपी नेताओं पर ईडी सीबीआई की? येदियुरप्पा जेल गया, हेमंत विश्व शर्मा पे जो जांच चल रही थी वो जांच में कुछ निकला? क्या निकला बताइए? नीरव मोदी, मेहुल चौकसी 20,000 करोड़ लूट के भाग गए, कुछ हुआ? 9,000 करोड़ विजय माल्या लूट के भाग गए, कुछ हुआ? जल जीवन मिशन का हजारों करोड़ का भ्रष्टाचार हमने खोला था उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर, कुछ हुआ? 42,000 करोड़ का डीएचएफएल ने घोटाला कर रखा है, 29 करोड़ रुपए चंदा दिया बीजेपी को उसने, कुछ हुआ? मैं आपको फिर दोहरा रहा हूं, मकसद इनका बहुत साफ है, अरविंद केजरीवाल की बढ़ती लोकप्रियता को रोकना। मकसद इनका बहुत साफ है, शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य का जो मॉडल आज पूरे देश में लोकप्रिय हो रहा है, पूरी दुनिया में लोकप्रिय हो रहा है, उसको बदनाम करना।
इसी मामले
वो उसमें कामयाब उनको मिलेगी नहीं।
इसी मामले में विजिलेंस इंक्वायरी भी हुई थी सर, 11 अधिकारियों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई हुई थी
जी। उसके बारे में पार्टी फैसला लेगी क्या करना है, कैसे हम इस पे अपना जवाब देंगे।
संजय जी, इसी मामले में विजिलेंस इंक्वायरी भी हुई थी और 11 अधिकारियों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई हुई। आपको लगता है कि
मैं तो आपको याद दिला रहा हूं, ऐसे ही चीख चीख के सारे उस समय भी चिल्लाते थे जब सीबीआई पहुंची थी मनीष सिसोदिया के घर, अरे बहुत बड़ा घोटाला पकड़ने आए हैं। कुछ निकला? कुछ नहीं निकला। 40-40 विधायकों को जब भी गिरफ्तार किया, इतनी ही गंभीरता के साथ, इतनी ही चिल्लाहट के साथ, इतना ही चीख चीख के, उस समय भी भाजपा ही चिल्लाते थे, इस पे ये निकल गया, उस पे वो निकल गया, इस पे ये पकड़ा गया, उस पे राजेंद्र कुमार के कंपनियां पकड़ी गई हैं, फ्लैट पकड़ा गया है, बचेगा क्या? हुआ भाई आज तक? मैं पूछ तो रहा हूं आपसे, आप बताइए। तो ऐसा पहली बार सुंगलू कमेटी बनाई, 400 फाइलों की जांच कराई दिल्ली सरकार की, बाद में कह दिया कुछ नहीं निकला। तो मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, दिल्ली का शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य का मॉडल पूरी दुनिया में, देश में लोकप्रिय हो रहा है। उसको ही बदनाम करना है, उसको ही रोकना है। एक ऐसी छोटी सोच के प्रधानमंत्री अगर देश में हैं, तो शर्म आती है कि वो किस प्रकार से इस देश को आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं, कैसे वो इस देश को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। जिस देश के प्रधानमंत्री की सोच इतनी छोटी हो कि शिक्षा और स्वास्थ्य पे काम ना करने दे, अब बताइए कैसे वो देश को आगे लेके जाएंगे? क्या उनका सपना है इस देश के लिए? क्या सोचते हैं वो इस देश के लिए?
कांग्रेस कह रही है कि अच्छे से छापे पड़े हैं तो कोई नहीं बचेगा, अच्छी कार्रवाई हो जाए। संदीप दीक्षित
मैं ऐड कर देता हूं इसमें क्वेश्चन। पवन खेड़ा जी ने ट्वीट करके कहा है कि एजेंसी के निरंतर दुरुपयोग का एक बड़ा नुकसान यह भी होता है कि जब वो एजेंसी सही काम भी करे तब भी उसके कदम को दृष्टि से देखा जाता है, शक की दृष्टि से देखा।
अब पता नहीं, कांग्रेसियों ने तो पूरे देश में अभी कुछ दिन पहले प्रदर्शन किया था ईडी के और सीबीआई के दुरुपयोग के खिलाफ। सारे मुख्यमंत्री, सारे नेता सड़क पे उतर उतर के चिल्ला रहे थे, गलती कर दी, गलती कर दी। तो कांग्रेसियों का अगर ये दोहरा नजरिया है तो वो अपना वो जाने।
संजय सिंह की दो सवाल है। अगर आपका एजुकेशन और हेल्थ मॉडल सक्सेस है, जो ऐसा आप कह रहे हैं, हालांकि अपोजिशन पार्टी ऐसा नहीं मानती, तो ऐसा तो जरूरी नहीं कि अगर दो मॉडल सक्सेस तो बाकी के पॉलिसीज में, बाकी के नीतियों में कोई करप्शन नहीं हुआ होगा। अगर आपको लगता है कि
मैंने आपके सामने सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा जिसका जवाब कोई नहीं दे पा रहा। एक ही सवाल आपसे पूछा कि अगर वास्तव में शराब मुद्दा है तो जहरीली शराब से जिस गुजरात में 100 लोग से ज्यादा मारे गए, वहां पर किसकी ईडी और सीबीआई की जांच हुई अब तक? बताइए मुझे। कौन सा बीजेपी का नेता पकड़ा गया? बताइए मुझे। बीजेपी, ईडी और सीबीआई जब इनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई करनी होती है तो बीजेपी के खिलाफ वो बिल्कुल पंगु हो जाती है, नहीं नहीं हमें तो कुछ नहीं करना। इसलिए मैं आपको कह रहा हूं ये बात। और क्या अकेले ये पहला मामला है? मैंने आपको गिना तो दिया कि कितनी बार इन लोगों ने कब ईडी, सीबीआई, दिल्ली पुलिस। अरे भाई ये इस प्रकार से काम करते हैं। सोमनाथ भारती का कुत्ता पकड़ने 40 दिल्ली पुलिस वाले गए थे, कह रहे थे उसकी जबड़े की जांच करनी है। आप बताइए, ऐसे लोग हैं ये, इस तरह से काम करते हैं।
सर, मनोज तिवारी ने कहा कि आम आदमी पार्टी का ये मॉडस ऑपरेंडी है कि ये इसी तरीके से काम करते हैं। और दूसरा, मनीष जी ने पूर्व लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर पर जो सवाल उठाए थे उस पर उन्होंने ये जवाब दिया कि ये सरासर निराधार है। वो पद पर रहते हुए उन्होंने गरिमा मेंटेन की और किसी भी तरीके का उनकी तरफ से गड़बड़ी नहीं हुआ।
तो मनोज तिवारी बगैर जांच के बैजल जी को क्यों क्लीन चिट दे रहे हैं भाई? उनकी क्या साठगांठ है? तो ये तो दोहरा रवैया है। एक तरफ भाजपा कहती है जांच हो जाने दीजिए, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, दूसरी तरफ कहती है नहीं नहीं उनकी जांच नहीं होनी चाहिए। तो किसको किसको हिस्सा मिला है? जांच होने दीजिए। ये कौन सा दोहरा रवैया है? एक तरफ तो कहते हो गर्दन दबा दो, फांसी पे चढ़ा दो, उल्टा लटका दो, और दूसरी तरफ कहते हो कि क्यों जांच होनी चाहिए।
संजय जी, कपिल मिश्रा ने जो अखबार अभी आपने दिखाया, इसका फ्रंट पेज और खलीज टाइम्स दोनों का ट्वीट करते हुए कहा है कि ये दोनों पेड खबरें हैं जो आम आदमी पार्टी अपने विस्तार के लिए चला रही है।
तो वो उन्हीं से सवाल पूछेगा। खत्म कर।
अनुराग ठाकुर का इसमें बयान है कि ये पहला मामला नहीं आम आदमी पार्टी के जरिए करप्शन का। और अनुराग ठाकुर इस देश के मंत्री बने, यही सबसे बड़ी अफसोस की बात है।
गोली मारो छाप नेता इस देश का मंत्री बना हुआ है, वो बयान दे रहा है, आप उसके बयान को गंभीरता से ले रहे हैं और मुझसे सवाल पूछ रहे हैं। वो सब गोली मारो छाप नेता हैं, उनकी बातों को मैं गंभीरता से नहीं लेता।
Sanjay Singh, the Aam Aadmi Party MP, addressing the press, once again reiterating what AAP has been saying this morning, since this morning, that CBI's raids against Manish Sisodia are political vendetta orchestrated by the central government, which is led by the Bharatiya Janata Party. So that is what the allegation is. Rupashri Nanda and Akash have been tracking this story. Rupashri, to you first. Two tough questions to Sanjay Singh, which he could not answer. One, what is it about the excise policy that the Aam Aadmi Party is defending? They're talking about health and education sector, but on the specific questions about problems with excise policy, there is no answer.
Well, Arunima, I heard that question that was put to him, and Sanjay Singh actually said that we have answered this question 1,000 times, but essentially preferring not to get into the details of the excise policy and the pros and cons of it, and whether there has been corruption or not, whether there is a quid pro quo as has been alleged or not. Now, remember, Sanjay Singh's press conference or address was extremely political. It is a political attack on the BJP, which is why he did not get into the nitty-gritties of the corruption case of the excise policy. Now, in that particular case of alleged corruption in the excise policy, actually, remember, as everybody has been pointing out since morning, Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena had given the go-ahead for a CBI probe into the role of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia in this particular policy. Now, following that, also action has been taken against various officers. And but one important point that Sisodia has tried to make is that he says, or his defense is, that it is because Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal, who was then the Lieutenant Governor, changed his mind at the last moment, even after licenses had been distributed and shops were to be opened, especially in areas, unauthorized areas of Delhi. That is the reason why the excise policy failed, which is what led to the uneven distribution of liquor shops across Delhi, which is what led to an uneven playing field between different players in the national capital, which is why some people benefited while others did not benefit. And those who actually lost out, they were the ones who knocked on the doors of the court, and the court had given the direction to the government to return the fees that the government had already given. Manish Sisodia, remember, as Aam Aadmi Party has also been pointing out, had written to the Lieutenant Governor to probe the role of the former Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal. So now this case, now with Manish Sisodia especially being named in the FIR, this case has taken a serious turn, and when it goes to the court, it will be up to the courts then to decide whether there has been corruption or not, whether there is a quid pro quo or not. As of now, the Aam Aadmi Party is facing a political challenge also in order to defend its image, target the BJP, stand, defend its own Deputy Chief Minister. And essentially, like Sanjay Singh, what did he say? Sanjay Singh's crux of the press conference was that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is rattled by the growing popularity of Arvind Kejriwal, which is why the agencies are hurting us again and again and again. And he gave a history of the cases that had been filed against the Aam Aadmi Party legislators, in which many of them actually have gone scot-free, and that is a matter of record. Arunima.
Rupashri, thank you so much. Do hold on. We have a lot of political reactions coming in on this story. Bharatiya Janata Party and Aam Aadmi Party both have reacted. Let's listen.
भ्रष्टाचारी जितना मर्जी ईमानदारी का चोला पहन ले, वह भ्रष्टाचारी ही रहता है। अरविंद केजरीवाल और मनीष सिसोदिया की सांठगांठ सामने आई, इसीलिए शराब नीति को वापस लिया। सीबीआई और जांच की डर अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को मजबूर करती है ट्वीट करने पर कि ये शिक्षा नहीं, ये शराब की बात हो रही है और आम आदमी पार्टी के शराब के ठेकों में हुए भ्रष्टाचार की बात हो रही है। जनता को मूर्ख न समझे। एक्साइज मंत्री एक्सक्यूज मंत्री तो बन गए हैं, कहीं उनकी भी यादाश्त न चली जाए।
सीबीआई के अलावा और एजेंसीज बहुत सारी हैं, प्रधानमंत्री जी के पास ईडी है, इनकम टैक्स है, सबका स्वागत है। ये कोई पहली बार नहीं हुआ कि सीबीआई का केस दर्ज किया गया है। सीबीआई के छापे पहले भी मारे गए हैं, मुख्यमंत्री कार्यालय तक में छापे मारे गए, उप मुख्यमंत्री के यहाँ पहले सीबीआई जा चुकी है। सवाल यह है मिला क्या और देश में क्या हो रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री जी उसी शिक्षा मंत्री जिसकी शिक्षा का डंका पूरे
संसार में बज रहा है, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उस शिक्षा मंत्री के घर सीबीआई भेज दी है, उसके यहाँ छापा मारा। ये बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है।
अब हम मनीष सिसोदिया जी से कहेंगे, अगर आपकी नीति ईमानदारी वाली नीति थी तो आपने इस आबकारी नीति को वापस क्यों ले लिया? अगर आप कट्टर ईमानदार हैं तो आपके दिल्ली के स्वास्थ्य मंत्री सत्येंद्र जैन जी को 2 महीने से ईडी ने जेल में बिठाया हुआ है। क्यों आम आदमी पार्टी, अरविंद केजरीवाल और उसका कार्यकर्ता सड़कों पर नहीं उतरा? क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उसे भी पता है कि इसमें भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है। आज मनीष सिसोदिया कहते हैं कि हम बच्चों का भविष्य बना रहे थे। अरे दिल्ली की एक एक महिला से पूछिए, आपने दिल्ली के बच्चों का भविष्य नहीं बनाया, उसका भविष्य इस आपका नीति को लाकर बर्बाद किया है। तो ये कट्टर बेईमान का जो चेहरा है आपका उजागर हो चुका है। सीबीआई का सामना करिए, उससे भागिए मत।
Both the Congress and the BJP taking on the Aam Aadmi Party there. AAP on its part is calling this political vendetta. We're taking a very quick break, but this continues to be a top focus. Stay with us.
We have that CBI officers are very much inside this particular house, and if I can ask my VJ Vikas to show you the visual, this is the official residence of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, and we are learning that around 8 to 8:15, CBI officers reached this particular place, and since then they are looking for some document, some official document, and are searching this particular place. Also, we are learning that other than this place, 21 other locations are also there. In fact, we are learning that all those 11 officers who were suspended just a few days back are being searched as of now, and 21 locations. This is what we have learned. Further, Aam Aadmi Party is calling it a vendetta politics, and on the other hand, we are seeing BJP, which is calling it, a routine investigation, normal investigation, because they are saying that central government has nothing to do with it. CBI is doing its work. Also, this all started with the recommendation that were initiated by a Lieutenant Governor, where it was said that some financial quid pro quo happened in the excise policy that was implemented in November 2021, and talking about that particular policy, the whole Delhi was divided into 32 zones, and then licenses were given. Initially, it was decided that now we'll be having, liquor shops in the unauthorized colonies as well. But later, we had an argument where Aam Aadmi Party said that initially it was, passed, but later, some questions were raised on the particular point where it was said that now, even unauthorized colonies will be seeing the liquor shops. And that's the reason why we are, hearing the name of previous LG of Delhi, Anil Baijal, because they are saying that Anil Baijal at last point raised some sort of question, and that's the reason why they could not open shops in the unauthorized colonies, and that's the reason why those who were provided with these licenses, they went to court, and that's the reason why, we face some sort of loss in the exchequer. Also, at this point in time, we are seeing some political developments, in fact the war of words between the BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, where BJP on one hand is saying that just because you are corrupt, you have violated the norms, rules and regulations, that's the reason why CBI is at your place and is doing the investigation. On the other hand, we have Aam Aadmi Party leaders who are clearly saying at this point in time that BJP is, in fact, central government is misusing central agencies, and after Satyendra Jain, Manish Sisodia is the minister who is targeted as of now.
So the big story this morning onwards, Manish Sisodia's residence has CBI officials raiding. There are other raids also being carried out in Punjab, in Telangana, in Daman and Diu, in other parts of Delhi and NCR. Sanjay Singh, the Aam Aadmi Party member of Parliament, has spoken on this matter. Let's listen in.
मसला क्या है? मसला ये है कि कल दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल की मनीष सिसोदिया जी की पहले पेज पे फोटो छपी अमेरिका के न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में। परेशानी इससे होती भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कि दिल्ली का शिक्षा मॉडल, मनीष सिसोदिया का शिक्षा मॉडल, केजरीवाल का शिक्षा मॉडल कैसे पूरे दुनिया में प्रचारित हो रहा है। इसलिए स्वास्थ्य मंत्री को जेल में डालो, अब शिक्षा मंत्री के ऊपर कार्रवाई करो। तो इन कार्रवाइयों में कुछ निकलना नहीं है, और ये बात बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हो गई कि मोदी जी की लड़ाई कोई भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ नहीं है, उनकी लड़ाई सीधे
Central Bureau of Investigation is carrying out searches at 21 locations, including the residence of Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. He has been named in the FIR, charged with causing loss to the exchequer and also criminal conspiracy in the excise policy of Delhi matter. Akash is there outside Mr. Sisodia's residence. Akash, any update for us? The team still inside. Any movement that you see of more teams joining in?
So it has been more than 3 hours, Arunima, and talking about this particular development, we still don't know as to what CBI officers are basically looking at, because we have been told that they are searching for some documents as of now, which is the due part of the investigation. But on the other side, I'm showing you the visuals of the security arrangements that have been beefed up, because now we are expecting Aam Aadmi Party workers to protest in some time from now. Also, if I can ask my VJ Vikas to show you the visuals from this side, where I'm showing you the barricades. So basically Delhi police have made these arrangements because now we are expecting that in some time from now Aam Aadmi Party workers may reach this particular point and may protest against the particular searches that are being conducted at 21 locations. Also, I'm showing you the visuals, these visuals, where you can see the barricades and also the police deployment. Talking about this whole matter, this all got initiated with the report that was filed by the Chief Secretary Delhi to LG, and after that LG recommended the CBI probe, because initially he found some sort of discrepancies in this particular policy. Also, he categorically mentioned that some people were given benefits on the basis of relations they had with the officers and with Manish Sisodia, in fact. And there were allegations that Manish Sisodia was very much involved in this whole case, and that's the reason why we are learning that in the FIR even, Manish Sisodia is one of the accused. Also, as far as our sources are concerned, so we have learned that Manish Sisodia is very much inside the house, and at this point in time CBI officers are there. They are looking for the documents. Also, it is possible that they are asking about several sort of documents to Manish Sisodia, but we haven't got any sort of clarification or confirmation. Further, a PC has been announced at 12 this noon by Arvind Kejriwal, and we are expecting the political war of words that we are witnessing between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP that will further escalate, because in the past itself we have seen that how Arvind Kejriwal has given clean chit to not only Manish Sisodia, but in the past we saw that how he said that he knows Manish Sisodia from last 22 years, and that's the reason why he has categorically mentioned that he is a kattar imandar admi. And at this point in time we are waiting for the developments, but this is the fresh development where you are seeing these barricades outside the AB 17 Mathura Road, which is the official residence of Manish Sisodia. That security has been beefed up. So Delhi police has made adequate arrangements, because there are inputs that Aam Aadmi Party workers would be reaching here in some time from now, and they'll be starting protest against this particular activity that is being witnessed from last 3 years, where CBI officers have reached this particular office or residence of Manish Sisodia and are basically conducting searches related to the particular excise policy, which was very much in news because of the recommendation that were given by LG of Delhi, Arunima.
Right. So Akash is reporting live from Manish Sisodia's residence. It's been 3 hours since the CBI teams reached there. Manish Sisodia himself tweeted to say that CBI teams have reached his residence. Initially, it was alleged that he was missing in action. He was in Himachal Pradesh. But now my colleagues have confirmed that he's very much at his residence. Let me bring in Rupashi Nanda back into the conversation. Rupashi, we were talking about the kind of attacks that the BJP is carrying out against the Aam Aadmi Party. One of the questions put to Sanjay Singh MP was that, when they are talking about this New York Times article, when they're talking about how there is international recognition for Delhi model of education and health, Kapil Mishra, BJP leader, has also put out a similar report in Khalij Times alleging that this is paid news, that Aam Aadmi Party is actually paying for this publicity.
Well, it is for the Aam Aadmi Party to answer that. Would the New York Times actually compromise on its credibility by, publishing an article on its front page by taking money for it? That is something for the New York Times again to answer, and it is for the Aam Aadmi Party leadership to also answer whether they have done it. But remember, as we are speaking now, I'm standing in front of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence, and he is going to address a press conference today at 12 o'clock, and expect him to completely lash out against the BJP and the central government and defend Manish Sisodia very staunchly. And remember, why am I saying that? The reason I'm saying that is because the Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal has already said twice before in the month of June that Sisodia is going to be arrested by the end of August. He said that on 5th of June, he said that again on the 22nd of June. The other important political point to note over here, Arunima, is that just in the last assembly session that concluded in Delhi, in that the speech, if anybody can pull out that speech of Kejriwal in that in the house. Over there, he had actually told each of his MLAs to be prepared to get arrested, and they had actually named people that most of the people who are with the Aam Aadmi Party, whether they are legislators or workers, have some or the other case filed against them, including Atishi Marlena, or Atishi Singh as she calls herself now. So Aam Aadmi Party is absolutely prepared to take the onslaught of the attack of the agencies. The challenge for the Aam Aadmi Party over here is to be able to defend itself in the court of law, because it is not what the BJP says which will hold finally. It is not what the Aam Aadmi Party says which will hold finally on Sisodia's innocence or guilt. Finally, it will be up to the court to decide a verdict based on the prosecution, based on the evidence that the court or is presented in front of the court, and that is a long battle. The other immediate scenario that the Aam Aadmi Party is looking at is whether Sisodia is going to be arrested today or not. If not today, then it can happen actually anytime, and that is a given when we talk about the thinking within the Aam Aadmi Party. If that happens, then who is the minister who is going to handle Sisodia's portfolio? So these are the issues of governance that Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has to deal with as he goes ahead and handles these challenges. Remember, the battle is happening in Delhi, but there is an election which is there in Gujarat also. Aam Aadmi Party is trying to make a push in Gujarat, which is the home turf of Prime Minister Modi, of Home Minister Amit Shah, and expect this battle to play out over there, both from the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. The BJP is going to target the Aam Aadmi Party.
Adesh Gupta is addressing the press. Let's listen it.
मेरे साथ मेरे साथी हरियाणा जी मौजूद हैं। मैं निवेदन करूंगा डॉक्टर अपना आदेश गुप्ता जी से कि आपको संबोधित करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद हरीश जी। सभी पत्रकार मित्रों को मेरा नमस्कार। आज जब से दिल्ली के डिप्टी सीएम मनीष सिसोदिया पर सीबीआई रेड पड़ी है, तब से आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता बौखला गए हैं और वो तमाम दिल्ली सरकार के मॉडल की बात कर रहे हैं। दिल्ली के अंदर नई शराब नीति लाने वाले, दिल्ली के अंदर शराब माफियाओं को भ्रष्टाचार के माध्यम से संरक्षण देने वाली सरकार आज अपनी ईमानदारी की बात कर रही है। मैं दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री से पूछना चाहता हूं कि जिस शराब नीति को आपके उप मुख्यमंत्री मनीष सिसोदिया लाए थे और ये दावा कर रहे थे इससे हजारों करोड़ रुपए का उन्हें फायदा होगा, ये शराब नीति दिल्ली के अंदर रेवेन्यू का भंडार भरेगी और अपने हर वक्तव्य में कहते थे हजारों करोड़ रुपए का फायदा हुआ है। यहां तक कि खुद उप मुख्यमंत्री शराब सीबीआई जांच से एक दिन पहले कह रहे थे इससे 3000 करोड़ रुपए का फायदा हो रहा है। कोई इनके प्रवक्ता कह रहे 1300 करोड़ रुपए का फायदा हो रहा है। लेकिन जैसे ही सीबीआई जांच हुई वैसे ही वो बातें बिल्कुल सिद्ध हो गई जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी पहले से कहती आई। और भारतीय जनता पार्टी कह रही थी कि ये शराब नीति शराब माफियाओं को फायदा पहुंचाने के लिए है। रातों रात जिस समय देश कोविड से जूझ रहा था, उस समय इन्हें कोविड की चिंता नहीं थी। इन्हें नई शराब नीति के माध्यम से हजारों करोड़ रुपए शराब माफिया को फायदा पहुंचाया। 144 करोड़ रुपया उनका कोविड के दौरान, आज तक इतिहास में नहीं हुआ कि कोविड की रिलीफ शराब माफिया को दी जाए। कोविड की रिलीफ दिल्ली के आम जनता को मिले, इसकी चिंता दिल्ली सरकार को नहीं थी। कोविड के नाम पर 144 करोड़ रुपए शराब माफिया को माफ करने का पाप दिल्ली में अरविंद केजरीवाल सरकार ने किया है। 30 करोड़ रुपए जो अर्नेस्ट मनी फोरफिट होनी चाहिए, वो अर्नेस्ट मनी को वापस कर दिया शराब माफिया के दबाव में। शराब माफिया पर इतने मेहरबान हो गए केजरीवाल साहब कि उन्होंने उनका कमीशन जो 2.5% था पहले, उसको बढ़ाकर 12.5% कर दिया। इतने मेहरबान हो गए कि दिल्ली में 21 ड्राई डे की संख्या थी, उसको घटाकर 3 कर दिया गया। मेहरबानी का आलम यह रहा कि ब्लैक लिस्टेड कंपनी को भी ठेके दे दिए। जो कार्टेल अलाउ नहीं था, इन्होंने ही शराब नीति बनाई कि उसमें कार्टेल अलाउ नहीं होगा। वो कार्टेल भी अलाउ कर दिया और चोर दरवाजे से मैन्युफैक्चरर कंपनी को ट्रेडिंग के लिए अलाउ कर दिया। ये सारा पाप दिल्ली के अंदर, दिल्ली में अरविंद केजरीवाल सरकार जो ईमानदारी का ढिंडोरा पीट रहे हैं, अपनी पीठ थपथपा रहे हैं, अपने मॉडल की चर्चा कर रहे हैं, लेकिन नई शराब नीति जिससे हजारों करोड़ रुपए उन्होंने शराब माफिया को लुटा दिया। लोग तो ये कह रहे हैं कि शराब नीति इसलिए आनन फानन में लाए थे क्योंकि पंजाब में चुनाव हुआ और पंजाब के चुनाव से पहले शराब माफिया और आम आदमी पार्टी की बहुत बड़ी डील हुई थी। और वो डील यही थी, डील ये थी कि तुम हमें फायदा पहुंचाओगे तो हम भी आपको पंजाब के अंदर आम आदमी पार्टी के चुनाव में मदद करेंगे। सामने आ गया है। पहले रेवेन्यू 6,000 करोड़ रुपया था जो घटकर 5,000 करोड़ से भी कम रह गया। जिस रेवेन्यू की बढ़ने की बात ये कह रहे थे, मैं आज अरविंद केजरीवाल से पूछना चाहता हूं कि आपको जनता ने स्वच्छ पानी के लिए, आप जनता ने इक्वल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वाटर के लिए बिठाया था कि सिसोदिया जी तो इक्वल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ शराब की बात कर रहे हैं। 250 दुकानों से बढ़ाकर 850 दुकानें खोल दी। शराब माफिया, आप सोचिए कि शराब माफिया के ऊपर इतने मेहरबान थे कि जहां ने प्रदर्शन किए कि ये हमारे इलाके की दुकान है, इस वहां बाउंसर से, केजरीवाल के बाउंसर थे, वो बाउंसर से गुंडों से उन महिलाओं को पिटवाया गया। अनऑथराइज कॉलोनी, रिहायशी इलाके के अंदर, स्कूलों के पास, मंदिरों के पास, धार्मिक स्थलों के पास शराब के ठेके खोलने का पाप दिल्ली में अरविंद केजरीवाल सरकार ने किया है। और ये पाप को छुपाने के लिए, अपने भ्रष्टाचार घोटालों को छुपाने के लिए ये जो बातें कर रहे हैं, ये इस तरह केजरीवाल सरकार अब बिल्कुल उसका खुलासा हो गया है, एक्सपोज हो गई है कि ये हजारों करोड़ रुपए शराब माफिया से मिलकर दिल्ली के राजस्व में करोड़ों रुपए का कमी करने वाले ऐसा पाप दिल्ली की अरविंद केजरीवाल सरकार ने किया है। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देव जी। हमारे बीच पूर्व केंद्रीय मंत्री, पूर्व प्रदेश अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन जी मौजूद हैं। मैं उनसे निवेदन करूंगा कि इस जो कुछ हुआ है इसके बारे में आप सबको संबोधित करें। डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन जी।
दोस्तों, पहले तो आप सबको और आपके सबके माध्यम से दिल्ली वासियों को और देशवासियों को जन्माष्टमी की ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं देना चाहता हूं। भगवान श्री कृष्ण का जन्मोत्सव का समय आने वाला है और भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने पूरे सात्विकता के साथ और पूरी ईमानदारी के साथ जो कर्म के पथ पर चलने का मार्ग है वो हम सबको सिखाया है। अभी अचानक हमें प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करनी पड़ रही है और आप जानते हैं कि पिछले समय में जो दिल्ली में एक्साइज पॉलिसी आई, उसके संदर्भ में दिल्ली में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता लगातार पिछले काफ़ी समय से अनेक प्रकार के माध्यमों से व्यापक संघर्ष कर रहे हैं और उस व्यापक संघर्ष का सुपरिणाम ये हुआ कि ये विषय सबके संज्ञान में आया और हम सब ने मिलकर
As politics continues over CBI's raids against Manish Sisodia, news just coming in that the Enforcement Directorate has stepped into this matter as well. ED is to shortly register an ECIR, which is the FIR version of Enforcement Directorate, related to action on Manish Sisodia. ED sources tell CNN News 18 that many in this case are alleged beneficiaries of proceeds of crime, including private individuals and public servants. ED to shortly ask for a copy of the FIR from the CBI and other details of the investigation. Once those details are available, Enforcement Directorate could proceed and lodge an ECIR. Ashish Mershi is getting us those details. So Ashish, they're saying this is not just a case of causing loss to exchequer, but also money laundering.
So it looks to be, on the face of it, that is what my sources tell me in the Enforcement Directorate, that prima facie it looks to be that there are a number of proceeds of crime that have reached into private hand as well as public servants. So as we all know that CBI obviously works under the Prevention of Corruption Act, but then the Enforcement Directorate, when it gets into the picture, they follow the money trail. And here the Enforcement Directorate has got some evidence with them already in their hand, which shows that there are certain proceeds of crime which has landed into the hands of private individuals as well as public servants. And that is why we can expect shortly big action by Enforcement Directorate as well as the CBI, once the searches are over. We can expect in a few days from now, we can expect big action by the Enforcement Directorate as well.
And this could mean more trouble for the Aam Aadmi Party, because unlike CBI, if the ED goes into this matter, any confession made by any of these private individuals who are being raided would have evidentiary value in court of law.
So we've already seen in the past that the law of Prevention of Money Laundering Act is actually more tougher than the Prevention of Corruption Act. And in fact, they have the right to attach the assets, confiscate it, and arrest people. And getting bail on under Prevention of Money Laundering Act has again become very difficult for individuals. So we can expect big action from Enforcement Directorate in days to come from on Manish Sisodia and other individuals, and once they are able to get into the money trail and find out who the real beneficiaries are of the proceeds of crime, then obviously it's going to be tougher for Manish Sisodia and people involved into this entire excise policy scam. So obviously in days to come, it's going to be really tough for Aam Aadmi Party and Manish Sisodia.
And this is how it works. This is what the procedure is. Once the FIR is shared by CBI, then ED takes the first step, or can they do it independent of the CBI as well?
So with the, if you see, and there is an amendment that has been brought into the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, where the ED is allowed to register an ECIR, and then further they can request the other agency for an FIR. So essentially you need an FIR if you want to have a PMLA case. But in this case, the FIR is already registered. So when I asked one of my sources in the Enforcement Directorate and a very senior fellow in Enforcement Directorate that whether are you going to investigate this matter, and the answer was, why not? It's an absolute case of money laundering, and it is absolutely visible that there are proceeds of crime which has landed into the hands of certain private individuals as well as public servants as well. So that is why the Enforcement Directorate is coming into the picture, and we can expect big time action in days to come.
Ashish, since you have been speaking to officers both in CBI and ED, piece together what is the conspiracy that is being alleged? How was this loss to the exchequer caused as per CBI?
So it's not one violation, Arunima, there are many violations. Now, if you see, there is one during the COVID times.
Ashish, give me a moment. I think there's some action at the residence of Anand Tiwari. Anshul Singh is reporting.
Who had come here this morning at around 8 a.m. They have now left from Anand Tiwari's residence at approximately 12 p.m., which means that for almost the last 4 hours, these raids have been going on inside the residence of Anand Tiwari, who was the Deputy Commissioner of the Excise Department of the Delhi government at the time when the licenses were distributed, when the new excise policy was implemented. So yes, lots of allegations have been made against him. He is also one of the 27 people who were suspended by the Delhi government after by the LG after the initial reports of discrepancies in the excise policy. So yes, it remains to be seen now what comes out of these raids that have been carried out over here, and if the CBI has able to find out something concrete in this entire situation. With video journalist Sumit Jaguri, this is Anshul Singh for CNN News 18.
So Anshul Singh there reporting from the residence of Anand Tiwari, former official of the excise department. He's one of those who's being searched, being raided by CBI. Just to recall what has happened since morning, 4 public servants are being raided. Anand is one of those, other than Manish Sisodia, and 2 others, including one more excise department official. But Ashish, I'm sorry I had to cut you short there. You were helping us understand what is it that CBI has found in its preliminary inquiry. Where is the violation for which they are carrying out these searches?
So, Arunima, it's not about one violation that we are talking about. There are many violations which are visible. If you go through the complaint that was filed before the LG, and the LG, forwarded in totality into the hands of the Chief Secretary, and it was found that it's not only one violation, there are many violations. One being that around 144 crore rupees of waiver was given at the time of COVID, and it was basically the gain went into the hands of the liquor vendors, and the allegation is that benefit could have been passed to certain individuals in the Aam Aadmi Party or to certain officials. That is what an area of investigation is. Now, if you go through the application or the complaint that was filed before the LG, and the LG had forwarded to the Chief Secretary, it says it's not only about waiver, it's about giving basically it helped in cartelization. There were certain companies where the policy said that only two circles can be given or allocated, but interestingly 3 circles were allocated. Now interestingly, if you see, there are certain complaints which says that a company which is into manufacturing of liquor, that company cannot
Ashish,
be given.
give me a moment. I know you're getting us crucial details about investigation, but there's action on ground zero there. Anshul Singh sent us this ground report from one of the search locations of the former officer of the excise department.
Start the raids that were going on inside the residence of Anand Tiwari, the Deputy Commissioner of Excise Department, the CBI officials who has reached here are now leaving from his residence, as I can show you in the visuals over here. At least 2 officials of the CBI who had come here since 8 a.m. this morning. They searched the entire premises of Anand Tiwari, and also along with this they also searched the car of Anand Tiwari, from which it is being said that some document was taken from this car, but it remains to be seen was that document seized by the CBI. These details will come in the next few minutes. However, at least 2 officials of the CBI who had come here this morning at around 8 a.m. They have now left from Anand Tiwari's residence at approximately 12 p.m., which means that for almost the last 4 hours, these raids have been going on inside the residence of Anand Tiwari, who was the Deputy Commissioner of the Excise Department of the Delhi government at the time when the licenses were distributed, when the new excise policy was implemented. So yes, lots of allegations have been made against him. He is also one of the 27 people who were suspended by the Delhi government by the LG after the initial reports of discrepancies in the excise policy. So yes, it remains to be seen now what comes out of these raids that have been carried out over here, and if the CBI has able to find out something concrete in this entire situation. With video journalist Sumit Jaguri, this is Anshul Singh for CNN News 18.
Well, good afternoon. It's 12 noon. You continue to be with us here at CNN News 18. I am Ridhima Bhatnagar. This remains our top focus. CBI raids conducted earlier in the morning. As far as Manish Sisodia's residence is concerned, this has now resulted into a big political war of words where the Aam Aadmi Party has come out all guns blazing, saying this was unexpected lines. This is vendetta politics. As far as the BJP is concerned, the BJP is saying if you have nothing to hide, let law take its own course. Let me bring in my colleagues as well. Rupashi Nanda has been tracking all developments and reactions from the Aam Aadmi Party. She is joining us. And our legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar also joining us. Rupashi, let me come to you first. Walk us through the reaction that has come from the Aam Aadmi Party so far.
Well, the Aam Aadmi Party's first reaction actually came from Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal himself, who staunchly defended his Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. Remember, Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia, apart from being a Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister, also share a very long relationship. It goes back to almost 20 years, and they have walked that path together for 20 years. So they share a kind of comfort level. Apart from that, all the Aam Aadmi Party people, whether it was Saurabh Bhardwaj, whether it was Chief Minister of Punjab, Bhagwant Mann, or Raghav Chadha, or Atishi Marlena, or even from Gujarat, the Rajya Sabha MP from Gujarat, each and every one of them have come out and defended Manish Sisodia. Each and every one of them have tried to make the point that this is being done because the central government or the BJP is rattled by the growing popularity of Arvind Kejriwal and his model of development. That is the attack that is coming in from the Aam Aadmi Party. And remember, this is not an easy time for the Aam Aadmi Party at all, even though it was anticipating that this is going to happen. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because Arvind Kejriwal himself on 2 occasions in the month of June had already said that he expects Sisodia to be arrested by the end of August, and we see the CBI raid unfolding today. So the immediate point of concern for the Aam Aadmi Party now is whether Sisodia is going to be actually arrested or not. Then actually, if he is arrested, then of course the legal battle will begin in the court. And finally, remember, it is not what the BJP says or the Aam Aadmi Party says about the innocence or guilt of Manish Sisodia. It will be the courts which will pronounce a verdict on that. And for that, evidence has to be produced in the court. Prosecution has to prove its case. Defense has to, prove Sisodia. We also understand that the Aam Aadmi Party is in consultation already with senior lawyers like Kapil Sibal, one of them, in the context of this case, and it is not going to be left to just the junior most persons of the Aam Aadmi Party's legal team to handle this particular case. Also remember, another point that I wanted to make is that Arvind Kejriwal, in the last session of the assembly that he spoke, actually had told all of his MLAs to prepare for an eventuality which would see each and every one of them in jail. Remember, Arvind Kejriwal himself has been in Tihar jail earlier in the course of his political career. True. And he has tried to convey that it is not a huge thing to be jailed, especially if you are on the right path and if it is vendetta. And that is the point that the Aam Aadmi Party is going to stick to. It is trying to milk this issue to the fullest, just as the BJP is going to try to do the same in the battlegrounds of Gujarat and in Himachal. While the Aam Aadmi Party is going to consistently hammer this point that when so many liquor deaths happened in Gujarat, no action was taken, no raids, no CBI action, no FIRs were filed. And you look at the central government. You have a Deputy Chief Minister, Minister of Education, who has done work on the ground as far as education reforms in Delhi government's public school is concerned, and it has attracted attention not just from other state governments in the country but also from abroad, and is going to and this is what the central government cannot tolerate. The BJP, on the other hand, is trying to hurt the Aam Aadmi Party at a point where it would hurt the Aam Aadmi Party the most. That is its claims of honesty and its claims of delivery on the ground.
And that's exactly what the BJP is saying, that first Satyendra Jain and now Manish Sisodia. This is what we've been saying, that this is just a corrupt government. But Rupashi, I'll request you to stay on with us. Our colleagues Ananya Bhatnagar is with us. He's tracking all developments as far as the LG is concerned. I believe Akash is also joining us on the broadcast, and he's joining us from Manish Sisodia's residence. Akash, let me come to you first. Initially, there was a bit of confusion whether Manish Sisodia is in the national capital or not, but now it's been confirmed by all of you. Are you seeing any movement around you, any sort of protest by the AAP workers?
So, Ridhima, you are not audible, but let me tell you that on one hand, we have this search going on at the residence, and on the other hand, we have these Aam Aadmi Party workers who have gathered here to protest against what is happening at the official residence of Deputy CM. I have Mr. Praveen, who is the MLA from Jangpura. Praveen, आप मुझे बताइए, नॉर्मल इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रहा है, क्यों आप लोग यहाँ विरोध प्रदर्शन करने आ गए हैं?
नहीं, नॉर्मल इन्वेस्टिगेशन क्या है? CBI जो है यहाँ पे मनीष सिसोदिया क्या रेड की, तो मनीष सिसोदिया ने क्लियर कर दिया है कि हम पूरी तरीके से इनका CBI का सहयोग करने के लिए तैयार है. पूरी तरीके से CBI जो है जांच करे, लेकिन CBI को जो है जांच में कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला, जीरो चीज मिलेगी.
सबसे शक्तिशाली देश है अमेरिका, दुनिया का सबसे अमीर देश है, और अमेरिका का सबसे बड़ा अखबार है न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स. न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में खबर छपने के लिए बड़ा मुश्किल होता है न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में खबर छपना। कल के न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के फ्रंट पेज पे ये खबर छपी है। दुनिया के सबसे शक्तिशाली देश के सबसे बड़े अखबार के फ्रंट पेज पे ये दिल्ली के शिक्षा मॉडल पे खबर छपी है और इस खबर में लिखा हुआ है कि दिल्ली के अंदर, भारत में दिल्ली के अंदर शिक्षा क्रांति हो रही है। दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूल बहुत शानदार हो गए हैं। दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूलों में अब लोग अपने बच्चों को प्राइवेट स्कूलों से नाम कटा कटा के दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूलों में भर्ती करा रहे हैं और दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूलों में पढ़ने वाले गरीब बच्चे अपना अच्छा करियर बना बना के अपने अपने परिवारों की गरीबी दूर कर रहे हैं। न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर पूरी दुनिया के सबसे शक्तिशाली देश के सबसे बड़े अखबार के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर भारत के बारे में इतनी अच्छी खबर छपना, दिल्ली के बारे में इतनी अच्छी खबर छपना, हर भारतवासी का आज सीना चौड़ा है। मैं सभी भारतवासियों को बधाई देना चाहता हूँ, बहुत बहुत बधाई। इस खबर में मनीष सिसोदिया जी की फोटो छपी है। न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के फ्रंट पेज पे आने के लिए दुनिया के सभी देशों के प्रधानमंत्री, राष्ट्रपति मतलब बेचैन रहते हैं कि हमारा नाम, हमारी फोटो आनी चाहिए। वहां पे मनीष सिसोदिया जी की फोटो छपी है आज कल के न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के अंदर। इस खबर का मतलब यह है कि मनीष सिसोदिया को भारत, दिल्ली का नहीं, देश का नहीं, दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा शिक्षा मंत्री घोषित किया गया। एक तरह से मनीष सिसोदिया जी दुनिया के सबसे अच्छे शिक्षा मंत्री हैं। ये बहुत बहुत गर्व की बात है। न जाने कितने सालों के बाद, मुझे तो पुराना कोई याद नहीं आ रहा कि न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर भारत के बारे में कोई इतनी बड़ी पॉजिटिव स्टोरी छपी हो। कुछ नेगेटिव स्टोरीज तो देखी है मैंने। 1-2 साल पहले छपा था कि कोरोना में सबसे ज़्यादा मौतें हो गई भारत में और कई सारी देखी, लेकिन पॉजिटिव इतनी बड़ी स्टोरी बड़ी बात है। परसों ही, आपको याद होगा, परसों ही हम लोगों ने ऐलान किया था कि हमें भारत को दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश बनाना है। 130 करोड़ लोगों को जोड़ना है, 130 करोड़ लोगों का अलायंस बनाना है। अब भारत रुकेगा नहीं, अब भारत थमेगा नहीं। हम सब लोगों को मिलकर भारत को दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश बनाना है। परसों ही हम लोगों ने ऐलान किया था और कल ये खबर छप गई। बहुत बड़ी बात है। एक तरह से कुदरत हमारा साथ दे रही है, भगवान हमारा साथ दे रहा है। भारत का दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश बनने का जो सपना है 130 करोड़ लोगों का, वो सपना अब साकार होने लगा है। समय लगेगा, मेहनत लगेगी, खूब मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, पर अच्छी चीज़ ये है कि ब्रह्मांड की सारी शक्तियाँ हम सब लोगों की, भारत के लोगों की मदद कर रही है। बहुत बड़ी बात हो रही है। भारत 75 साल पहले आज़ाद हुआ। लोग पूछ रहे हैं कि इन 75 सालों में कई छोटे छोटे देश हमारे बाद आज़ाद हुए, वो हमसे आगे बढ़ गए, दूसरे देश हमसे आगे बढ़ गए, भारत पीछे क्यों रह गया? जबकि भारत के लोग इतने इंटेलिजेंट हैं, भारत पीछे क्यों रह गया? पूरे भारत के लोग जानना चाहते हैं, भारत के लोग पूछ रहे हैं। अगर हम लोगों ने इन्हीं पार्टियों और इन्हीं नेताओं के भरोसे देश को छोड़ दिया तो अगले 75 साल भी देश आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा। अगले 75 साल भी यूं ही बीत जाएंगे, भारत पीछे रह जाएगा। 130 करोड़ लोगों को साथ आना पड़ेगा। अड़चने भी बहुत आएंगी, आसान काम नहीं है। बहुत तंग करेंगे, बहुत अड़चने आएंगी, बहुत तरह की दुविधा पैदा करेंगे। आज मनीष सिसोदिया को दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा शिक्षा मंत्री घोषित किया गया, लेकिन उसके घर सीबीआई पहुंच के रेड मारने के लिए। तो अड़चने बहुत आएंगी। पिछले 7 साल में भी कोई आसान काम नहीं था न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के फ्रंट पेज पे आना और दिल्ली के अंदर शिक्षा क्रांति करना। पिछले 7 साल में भी मनीष जी के ऊपर न जाने कितनी बार रेड हुई है। ये पहली रेड नहीं है, पहले भी कई बार रेड कर चुके, कई झूठे केस कर चुके मनीष जी के ऊपर, मेरे ऊपर कई बार रेड कर चुके, सतिंदर जैन पे, कैलाश गहलोत पे, हमारे कितने लोगों पे ये लोग रेड कर चुके। कुछ नहीं मिला, अभी भी कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। तो सीबीआई अपना काम कर रही है, उसे घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है। सीबीआई को हम अपना काम करने दें। उनको ऊपर से आदेश हैं कि भाई इनको तंग करना है, ऊपर से आदेश हैं अड़चने अड़ाओ। अड़चने आएंगी, काम नहीं रुकेगा। अड़चनों से काम किसी भी हालत में रुकने देना नहीं है। अब एक ही अपना मकसद है, इनके भरोसे अगर देश छोड़ दिया तो ये लोग भारत को कभी आगे नहीं आने देंगे, हमेशा टांग खींचेंगे। अब 130 करोड़ लोगों को मिलके भारत को आगे ले जाना है। आज मैं एक नंबर जारी कर रहा हूं, मिस्ड कॉल नंबर 9510001000। मैं दोबारा बोल दूं 9510001000 मिस्ड कॉल नंबर है। जो लोग इस मिशन में जुड़ना चाहते हैं, जो लोग भारत को दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश देखना चाहते हैं, जो लोग भारत को सबसे शक्तिशाली बनते हुए देखना चाहते हैं, जो लोग भारत को सर्वश्रेष्ठ राष्ट्र देखना चाहते हैं, इस मिशन में जुड़ो। इस नंबर पे मिस्ड कॉल करो, आप भी करो और सबसे कराओ। और सारे मीडिया वालों से भी मेरी विनती है, इस नंबर का खूब प्रचार करो। ये देश आपका भी है, ये देश हमारा सबका है। इस नंबर का खूब प्रचार करो। हमें 130 करोड़ लोगों को इस मिशन के साथ जोड़ना है। आप चाहते हो ना कि न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स के फ्रंट पेज पे रोज भारत की खबर, अच्छी खबर छपनी चाहिए। और न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स क्यों, आप चाहते हो ना कि फ्रांस के, लंदन के, जापान के, नॉर्वे के, स्वीडन के, हर देश के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर भारत छाया होना चाहिए। तो हम 130 करोड़ भारतीयों को एक साथ आना पड़ेगा। अपने अपने फोन उठाओ, मैं फिर से नंबर कर रहा हूं 9510001000 9510001000। इस नंबर पे मिस्ड कॉल करो, इस मिशन के साथ जुड़ो। अड़चने फिर से मैं कह रहा हूं बहुत आएंगी, बहुत बीच बीच में ऑब्स्टेकल्स आएंगे, लेकिन अब भारत रुकेगा नहीं, अब भारत थमेगा नहीं। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
Well, that was Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. They're addressing the media on a day when there were CBI raids at Manish Sisodia's residence. Now, what essentially Arvind Kejriwal has said, he has quoted that article that was printed on the front page of the New York Times, hailing the Delhi's education model, where it said that there has been a big revamp that has been done in government schools, and students are actually wanting to now give up public and private schools and wanting to get admission in government schools. So essentially, once again reiterating that this is vendetta politics by the BJP and nothing else. Now, we're also getting you some exclusive details of the CBI investigation in the excise policy case. Now, what top CBI sources are telling CNN News 18 is this, that the FIR is based on the reference of the LG Delhi. In that FIR, they're going to investigate Delhi government levy of import pass fee and profit margin in case of foreign liquor. Why they've reduced the number of dry days. Important to note that this illegal extension of the excise policy caused huge revenue loss to the government. Why the LG's opinion was not sought before issuing the order last year. Raids are going on and individuals will be asked to join this investigation. As we even brought out these details to you earlier, the raids are taking place not just in the national capital but in other parts of the country as well. There are of course allegations of quid pro quo, but this is essentially now resulted into a big political war of words once again between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. Now, Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party representatives are saying that we expected this. This is exactly what we've been saying, that they are going to target us one by one. So first Satendra Jain, then Manish Sisodia, and possibly next could be Arvind Kejriwal himself. But the BJP, on the other hand, is asking two big questions. One, as far as the excise policy is concerned, that if you were so sure as far as the implementation was concerned, why did you go back to an older model? And secondly, if there is nothing to hide, why not cooperate as far as the investigation is concerned? We'll try and connect with our colleagues to really understand what really is happening. We just heard from Arvind Kejriwal as well. The Aam Aadmi Party is standing strongly behind Manish Sisodia, saying that all these agencies can continue to be misused and nothing really will be found on the ground. My colleague Ashish Mehrishi is now joining us with more details to really talk to us about What are we picking up as far as the CBI investigation is concerned? Ashish, what are the details that you're picking up?
So, the CBI essentially is saying that the FIR has been registered basically on the reference of the LG complaint that was forwarded to the Chief Secretary, and the Chief Secretary finally said that yes, there is a violation of the excise policy. Secondly, they say they're basically looking at, there was a rupees 50 per case of beer. There was an import pass fee, which was basically waived off. And there was basically, reduction in the case of foreign liquor as well. The prices were reduced. So the profit margin is also being questioned by the CBI. The other important thing is that there was an illegal extension of excise policy, which was basically, which actually made the exchequer, that is the Delhi government, into a huge loss. That is what the CBI is looking at. And interestingly, as everybody has been talking about, that the entire excise policy was given a go-ahead by the Council of Ministers, and the LG approval was not taken. You actually need 48 hours to give the notice for any approval. But here, it was in a very short span of time that the Council of Ministers, headed by basically the excise minister, that is the Deputy Chief Minister as well, Manish Sisodia, he basically decided to go ahead, and no LG opinion was sought. That is what the CBI claims. So here, everything happened in violation of the procedures that need to be followed. That is what the CBI claim is, and that is why they are basically raiding various locations. And shortly, the sources say in the CBI that we can expect more people to be raided and asked to join investigations. So this is a big probe which is going to happen by the CBI, and as we all know, that Enforcement Directorate is shortly going to get into the picture. So it's going to be tough time for Aam Aadmi Party and especially Manish Sisodia in days to come.
Correct. Ashish, just stay on with us. We'll continue to come back to you. I want to take in a quick word from our colleague Ananya Bhatnagar, who's been tracking all developments as far as the LG is concerned. Now, Ananya, the details that we're now understanding is that the FIR that we're seeing today is actually based on the reference of the LG. And as Ashish was pointing out, the big red flag is that why was the LG not kept in the loop? Why wasn't his approval taken? What is the word that we're hearing as far as the LG is concerned?
Well, yeah, so we tried contacting the LG office, but then at this moment of time when raids are being conducted, the LG office is not commenting upon this issue. But then a very big question remains is that why the LG's approval was not taken when this scheme was launched, because remember that Delhi is a union territory at one point of time, though there is a power tussle going on between the center and the state in this particular territory. But then there is always approval that has been sought by the government whenever they are launching a new policy with the Lieutenant Governor, and in consultation with the Lieutenant Governor also these things take place. Another important development that we shared with our viewers earlier also is that the Aam Aadmi Party legal cell, all of the lawyers of the Aam Aadmi Party legal cell are tracking all of these developments constantly and are exploring as to what can be done ahead. They are monitoring all of these raids and developments taking place. And remember that whenever CBI registers a case into a particular matter, it first conducts a preliminary inquiry, that is a PE, and then only a regular case or a FIR in this particular in a matter is registered. And remember, in this particular case, there is a recommendation from the LG, and this is whenever a recommendation is made, there must be some kind of evidence that would have been produced, some kind of discrepancies that would have been made by the LG, that would have been found in fact by the Lieutenant Governor and his office while recommending this particular matter and this particular policy to in fact the Central Bureau of Investigation for a probe into this particular matter. And in fact what more is there is that whenever this matter reaches the court, there has to be a reasonable ground. In case Manish Sisodia arrested, there has to be a reasonable ground of arrest, and also material evidence that would have to be produced by the Central Bureau of Investigation, because remember that the Central Bureau of Investigation is governed by the DSPE Act, and also if at all ED jumps into this case, that is governed by the PMLA. Both of these acts require a special condition for arrest, that there should, the two major reasons, the section 19 of the PMLA states, and the DSPE also has similar provision that there has to be a reasonable ground to arrest a particular person, and in fact there has to be material evidence of, with that has to be produced before arresting a particular person. So any kind of action that has to be taken place has to be with a particular evidence in place, and these raids would definitely, when these raids conclude, we'll get to know as to whether any kind of evidence has been found from these particular locations, these 21 locations, including the national capital, wherein these raids have been conducted, not only at the residence of Mr. Sisodia, but also at the residence and premises of various
Ananya, we'll just talk about where these other locations of raids currently are and who are these private individuals who are under the scanner. But Akash and Rupashi also now joining us on the broadcast. Rupashi, I want to ask you if there has been a specific response to this particular allegation which has resulted in a new face-off between the LG and the Delhi government, that the LG was not taken into account as far as all these policies were concerned, and secondly that there was quid pro quo as far as private individuals were concerned who actually became recipients of proceeds of crime. How is the AAP responding to these allegations that the LG was completely kept out of the picture?
Well, we must go back to the press conference that was addressed by Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, I think just about 10 days back. In that press conference, Manish Sisodia actually detailed the entire chronology of the excise policy of the Delhi government, the new excise policy of the Delhi government. It had two cornerstones. Number one, government will not be part of the liquor business. And number two, there should be equitable distribution of liquor shops across Delhi. And in that actually, when it came to the second count, actually, it is there where the liquor policy failed, with Manish Sisodia pointing out or alleging that the then Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal changed his stance at the very last moment and denied permission to liquor shops to open their shops in unauthorized areas even after licenses were given. Now, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia in that press conference had clearly said that the excise policy of the Delhi government was sent to the Lieutenant Governor time and again, at least twice, and whatever recommendations were given by the then Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal were incorporated into the new excise policy. So why did the then Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal change his stance at the last moment, whether it was done under any pressure, and this is what actually led to the uneven distribution of liquor shops across the capital. It is what led to the cartelization of the liquor business in the national capital. It is what led to those who were denied licenses to knock on the doors of the court and get the license fees back also. And Manish Sisodia also alleged that the central government through its various agencies is actually harassing liquor shop owners and intimidating them, which is why they are not opening the liquor shops, and they want to go out of the liquor business, and that is a very, very serious charge. Now, on his part, the then Lieutenant Governor
Rupashi, I just apologize for interrupting. Just stay on with us. I'll request all our colleagues to stay on with us. I want to take in a reaction from the BJP. Manjinder Singh Sirsa now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, if you heard that press conference that came from Arvind Kejriwal of the Aam Aadmi Party, they essentially are saying at a time when the world is appreciating the work done by the Delhi government, this is just a rattled BJP who continues to misuse the central agencies.
देखिए, दो बातें अरविंद केजरीवाल की आज प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में बड़ी स्पष्ट होती हैं।
जी।
उनको पता है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को कि मनीष सिसोदिया के घर पे और बाकी शराब के कारोबारियों के घर रेड हुई है। उन्होंने इसके ऊपर कोई बात नहीं बोली, उन्होंने कोई स्पष्टीकरण नहीं दिया, कोई सफाई नहीं दी, क्योंकि उनको पता है कि पैसे का जो लेन देन हुआ था आखिरकार वो इनके घर तक पहुंचने वाला है।
नहीं, उन्होंने क्लैरिफिकेशन कहा था, उन्होंने दो चीज कही थी। उन्होंने ये कहा था कि एक सेकंड, 30 सेकंड दीजिए मुझे। उन्होंने कहा था कि मैं मनीष सिसोदिया को बहुत सालों से जानता हूं और मैं ये भी कॉन्फिडेंटली कह सकता हूं कि इन रेड्स में कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। सो वो क्लैरिफिकेशन आया है आपसे?
नहीं, वो मनीष सिसोदिया तक सीमित है। मैं उनको जानता हूं, जानने को आप सब एक दूसरे को जानते हैं। बात करप्शन की है। उन्होंने नहीं बताया कि आबकारी नीति जो लाई गई, एक्साइज नीति जो लाई गई थी, इस नीति के तहत जो काम लोगों को चुना गया था, उनसे जो पैसे लिए गए थे, बड़ा स्पष्ट है कि उनको तीनों काम दिए गए। 12% कमीशन क्यों फिक्स की गई? 2% कमीशन थी। जब सीबीआई ने इसकी इंक्वायरी शुरू की तो वापस पुरानी नीति क्यों लागू की गई जिसमें 2% कमीशन है, नए में 12% कमीशन थी? और क्यों क्रेडिट नोट काटे गए? वो लंबी हिस्ट्री है। आप जब मुझे समय देंगे मैं आपको एक एक बता सकता हूँ। इसमें कुछ छुपा हुआ नहीं है। लेकिन मैं अभी आपकी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की पीसी की बात कर रहे थे, तो देखिए आज उन्होंने जिस अखबार का जिक्र किया, वही अखबार में न्यूयॉर्क में वही वहां का भी संवाददाता के माध्यम से, जिस राइटर के माध्यम से लगा है, वही दूसरे अखबार में भी लगा है। वो पेड है, उन्होंने अपना मैनेज किया। आप देखना न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स से भी बहुत जल्दी एक स्पष्टीकरण आएगा कि ये खबर हमारी नहीं थी, ये प्लांट की गई खबर थी। अभी बहुत जल्दी ये भी स्पष्टीकरण आ जाएगा। छुपने वाली बातें नहीं होती। लेकिन हम सब जानते हैं, दिल्ली में रहते हैं, दिल्ली की नीति कौन सी है। ये शराब नीति है। शिक्षा नीति के साथ इसको जोड़कर दिखाने की कोशिश की जा रही है, सिंपैथी लेने की कोशिश की जा रही है।
मनजिंदर सिंह सिरसा जी, जस्ट बने रहिए हमारे साथ। आई बिलीव वी गेटिंग सम रिएक्शंस आल्सो नाउ कमिंग इन। लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई एंड लिसन इन।
यहाँ पे किसी ने किसी तरीके की बदसलूकी नहीं करी, लेकिन उसके बाद भी पता नहीं क्या डर है, जितना ज्यादा है आम आदमी पार्टी को और आम आदमी पार्टी के विधायकों को, मंत्री को रोकेंगे, उतना ज्यादा आम आदमी पार्टी बढ़ेगी। ये केंद्र सरकार जो है आम आदमी पार्टी को रोक नहीं पाएगी, आम आदमी पार्टी को डरा नहीं कर पाएगी। जितना ज्यादा ये लोग आम आदमी पार्टी को डराएंगे, उतना ज्यादा आम आदमी पार्टी जो है बढ़ेगी। यहाँ पे चाहे वो कैसे भी
So we seem to be seeing some sort of altercation between the AAP workers and police officials on the ground. All of this playing outside Manish Sisodia's residence. We'll try and connect with my colleague Akash. But the question that is being asked, and I believe Akash is now with us. Akash, the question that is now being asked from the Aam Aadmi Party is that when the Congress workers had taken to the streets, you said they're using the victim card. Aren't you doing exactly the same today?
So, Ridhima, first of all, I'm showing you the visuals where you're seeing these Aam Aadmi Party workers have been detained as of now because they were here protesting against whatever is happening.
Manish Sisodia Jindabad, Jindabad.
They have been detained as of now because they were somewhere protesting at this particular place, saying that whatever is happening is not right, is not as per the law. And as of now, Delhi police has detained all these workers. So 3-4 MLAs and party workers, they all were here just a few minutes back. I was having a word with them, and they were clearly saying that they are not happy with whatever is happening because as per them, Manish Sisodia is someone who has done a lot for Delhi, for the national capital. And as of now, central government is somewhere misusing central agencies. This is the vendetta politics. This is what they were maintaining. But as of now, this is the development where Delhi police has basically detained all these workers and they are taking them into the buses and are, taking them to the nearby police stations. This is what we are learning. As of now, it has been 4 hours since when the CBI is basically carrying out these searches at the residence of Manish Sisodia in concern with the excise policy, which was initially recommended that the CBI probe should be there. And just a few days back we saw how LG first and then BJP leaders in fact said that a financial quid pro quo happened in this particular policy that was implemented in 2021, and after that we are seeing a whole lot of drama starting from the morning. And now these are the visuals where I'm showing you that Delhi police has detained several Aam Aadmi Party workers who were here protesting against the CBI and also the central government, because as per them whatever is happening is not right and their leaders are being harassed as of now. Ridhima.
Okay, so as Akash is pointing out, certain AAP workers have now been detained by the police. We did see some sort of sloganeering as well. All of this playing out outside Manish Sisodia's residence. But Akash, I want to go back to the question that is now being asked, that when the Congress workers took to the streets, they wanted to protest against the misuse of central agencies. That's the allegation coming in from the opposition. The Aam Aadmi Party had said that a victim card is being used. Aren't they doing exactly the same today?
Exactly, and this is what the question is. In fact, I asked this very question that when you say that you believe in law, you believe in rules and regulations, and you believe in the constitution, when an agency is working and it is basically investigating a case, why you are protesting? In fact, just a few minutes back, we heard Arvind Kejriwal. On one hand, he was saying that this is a kind of achievement that an international publication is talking about our work, and on the other hand, he said that
the reason why we are seeing the similar kind of protests at this point of time as well, Ridhima. Because, as far as Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, so Aam Aadmi Party is saying that CBI is not doing its original work, but they are actually following the orders from BJP leaders. And that's the reason why they are saying that this is vendetta politics, because, Manish Sisodia is someone who has done a lot for Delhi. And just a few months back, we have seen that how for Satyendran and now Manish Sisodia is being targeted. Also, let me tell you that talking about the Aam Aadmi Party's stand, so it has been very clear that Aam Aadmi Party is not accepting the fact that LG has basically found something, initially he has found something questionable, and that's the reason why he has recommended a CBI probe, because, it was said, it was in fact alleged that Manish Sisodia was the one during his tenure, at a time when he was excise minister, at a time when this policy was implemented, benefits were given to those who were very near and dear to Manish Sisodia. In fact, 144 crores relaxation was given at a time when country was facing some really tough times. Also, it was said that, a security amount was returned to the shops that were near to the airport. And at this point in time, while Aam Aadmi Party is saying that nothing illegal happened at that time, and in fact, talking about this policy, they said that this was the policy that was implemented in order to get
benefits, in order to provide services to the common man, to the common people. But on the other hand, we have a whole lot of politics over this, because BJP is somewhere saying that a lot of quid pro quo happened. And in fact, Aam Aadmi Party is a party which portrays that they are Imandar people, but as of now it is somewhere said that they are very much indulged in the kind of corruption. Ridhima.
Right. So, Akash, as you were pointing out, that sloganeering continued outside Manish Sisodia's residence. AAP workers were detained. They're going to be taken to the nearby police station. What is now the situation outside Manish Sisodia's residence?
Right. I'm showing you the visuals. This is the second entry of AV Mathura Road. This is the main
road from where you see normal vehicular movement. On the other hand, the backward area is Manish Sisodia's residence. Just 200 meters or 100 meters away from Manish Sisodia's residence, this is the condition where Delhi police has just detained workers. On the other hand, we have CBI officers inside the residence of Manish Sisodia who are basically carrying out these searches in concern with the excise policy, Ridhima.
Excise policy, Ridhima. Also, Ridhima, let me tell you that we are seeing a lot of war of words between, Aam Aadmi Party leaders and BJP. Just a few minutes back, we heard Manijinder Singh Sirsa, who was saying that he knew about this corruption. In fact, at a time when this policy was implemented, we saw that how BJP leaders came out in public on road and said that they will not be allowing this policy to be implemented, but somehow it was implemented. And now, when in the month of July we saw that how LC recommended CBI probe, after that we are seeing continuous development onto this particular policy. In fact, this policy was rolled back once, and then it was decided that for 1 month the policy will remain active, and after 1 month the old policy will be implemented again. At this point in time, I'm showing you the visuals where you are seeing that Aam Aadmi Party workers are being detained, and the Delhi police personnel are basically taking these workers to the Aam Aadmi Party से नहीं जी नहीं, ये तो मैं यहाँ से एक मिनट सर मैं जाएंगे आप तो जाओ सर. All right. So he is basically denying that he is not of Aam Aadmi Party, but Delhi police officials are basically taking this particular man to the nearby bus because as per them,
धूम है. सभी देशवासियों को, दुनिया भर में फैले भगवान श्री कृष्ण के भक्तों को बहुत बहुत बधाई. जय श्री कृष्ण. आज का ये कार्यक्रम गोवा में हो रहा है, लेकिन आज मैं सभी देशवासियों के साथ देश की 3 बड़ी उपलब्धियों को साझा करना चाहता हूं. और ये बात मैं पूरे देश के लिए कहना चाहता हूं. भारत की इन उपलब्धियों के बारे में जब मेरे देशवासी जानेंगे, मुझे पक्का विश्वास है उनको बहुत गर्व होगा, और विशेषकर हमारी माताओं बहनों को बहुत गर्व होगा. अमृत काल में भारत जिन विशाल लक्ष्यों पर काम कर रहा है, उससे जुड़ी 3 अहम पड़ाव हमने आज पार किए हैं. पहला पड़ाव, आज देश के 10 करोड़ ग्रामीण परिवार पाइप से स्वच्छ पानी की सुविधा से जुड़ चुके हैं. 10 करोड़ ग्रामीण परिवार. एक घर जल पहुंचाने की सरकार के अभियान की एक बहुत बड़ी सफलता है. ये सबका प्रयास का बेहतरीन उदाहरण भी है. मैं इस उपलब्धि के लिए हर देशवासी को और विशेषकर माताओं बहनों को बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, देश ने और विशेषकर गोवा ने आज एक उपलब्धि हासिल की है। आज गोवा देश का पहला राज्य बना है जिसे हर घर जल सर्टिफाई किया गया है। दादरा नगर हवेली एवं दीव और दमन भी हर घर जल सर्टिफाइड केंद्र शासित प्रदेश बन गए हैं। बीते कुछ वर्षों में देश के हर बड़े मिशन में गोवा अग्रणी भूमिका निभाता जा रहा है। मैं गोवा की जनता को, प्रमोद जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को, गोवा की सरकार को, स्थानीय स्वराज की संस्थाओं को, हर किसी को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। आपने जिस प्रकार हर घर जल मिशन को आगे बढ़ाया है वह पूरे देश को प्रेरित करने वाला है। मुझे खुशी है कि आने वाले महीनों में कई और राज्य इस सूची में जुड़ने वाले हैं। साथियों, देश की तीसरी उपलब्धि स्वच्छ भारत अभियान से जुड़ी है। कुछ साल पहले सभी देशवासियों के प्रयासों से देश खुले में शौच से मुक्त घोषित हुआ था। इसके बाद हमने संकल्प लिया था कि गांवों को ओडीएफ प्लस बनाएंगे, यानी कम्युनिटी टॉयलेट्स, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, ग्रे वाटर मैनेजमेंट, गोबर्धन प्रोजेक्ट्स, ऐसी सुविधाएं विकसित की जाएगी। इसको लेकर भी देश ने अहम माइलस्टोन हासिल किया है। अब देश के अलग अलग राज्यों के 1 लाख से ज्यादा गांव ओडीएफ प्लस हो चुके हैं। इन तीनों अहम पड़ाव को पार करने वाली सभी राज्यों को, सभी गांवों को हम जितनी बधाई दें उतनी कम है। साथियों, आज दुनिया की बड़ी बड़ी संस्थाएं कह रही हैं कि 21वीं सदी की सबसे बड़ी चुनौतियों में से एक चुनौती वाटर सिक्योरिटी की होगी। पानी का अभाव विकसित भारत के संकल्प की सिद्धि में भी बहुत बड़ा अवरोध बन सकता है। बिना पानी सामान्य मानवी, गरीब, मध्यम वर्ग, किसान और उद्योग धंधों सबको नुकसान होता है। इस बड़ी चुनौती से निपटने के लिए सेवा भाव से, कर्तव्य भाव से 24 घंटे काम करने की जरूरत है। हमारी सरकार बीते 8 वर्षों से इसी भावना के साथ वाटर सिक्योरिटी, जल सुरक्षा के कार्यों को पूरा करने में जुटी है। ये सही है कि सरकार बनाने के लिए उतनी मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ती, लेकिन देश बनाने के लिए कड़ी मेहनत करनी होती है। और सबके प्रयास से होती है। हम सभी ने देश बनाने का रास्ता चुना है, इसलिए देश की वर्तमान और भविष्य की चुनौतियों का लगातार समाधान कर रहे हैं। जिन्हें देश की परवाह नहीं होती, उन्हें देश का वर्तमान बिगड़े या भविष्य कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। ऐसे लोग पानी के लिए बड़ी बड़ी बातें जरूर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन कभी पानी के लिए एक बड़े विजन के साथ काम नहीं कर सकते। साथियों, आजादी के अमृत काल में वाटर सिक्योरिटी, जल सुरक्षा भारत की प्रगति के सामने चुनौती न बने, इसके लिए बीते 8 वर्षों से जल सुरक्षा पर विशेष बल दिया गया है। कैच द रेन हो, अटल भूजल योजना हो, देश के हर जिले में 75 अमृत सरोवरों का निर्माण हो, नदियों को जोड़ना हो, या फिर जल जीवन मिशन, इन सबका लक्ष्य है देश के जन जन को जल सुरक्षा। कुछ दिन पहले ही एक खबर आई है कि भारत में अब रामसर साइट्स यानी वेटलैंड्स की संख्या भी बढ़कर 75 हो गई है। इनमें से भी 50 साइट्स पिछले 8 वर्षों में ही जोड़ी गई है। यानी वाटर सिक्योरिटी के लिए भारत चौतरफा प्रयास कर रहा है और इसके हर दिशा में नतीजे भी मिल रहे हैं। साथियों, पानी और पर्यावरण के प्रति यही प्रतिबद्धता जल जीवन मिशन के 10 करोड़ के पड़ाव में भी झलकती है। अमृत काल की इससे बेहतर शुरुआत नहीं हो सकती है। सिर्फ 3 साल के भीतर जल जीवन मिशन के तहत 7 करोड़ ग्रामीण परिवारों को पाइप के पानी की सुविधा से जोड़ा गया है। ये कोई सामान्य उपलब्धि नहीं है। आजादी के 7 दशकों में देश के सिर्फ 3 करोड़ ग्रामीण परिवारों के पास ही पाइप से पानी की सुविधा उपलब्ध थी। देश में लगभग 16 करोड़ ग्रामीण परिवार ऐसे थे जिनको पानी के लिए बाहर के स्रोतों पर निर्भर रहना पड़ता था। गांव की इतनी बड़ी आबादी को हम इस मूल आवश्यकता के लिए संघर्ष करते नहीं छोड़ सकते थे। इसलिए 3 साल पहले मैंने लाल किले से घोषणा की थी कि हर घर पाइप से जल पहुंचाया जाएगा। नई सरकार बनने के बाद हमने जल शक्ति अलग मंत्रालय बना दिया। इस अभियान पर 3,60,000 करोड़ रुपए खर्च किए जा रहे हैं। 3,60,000 करोड़ रुपए 100 साल की सबसे बड़ी महामारी की वजह से जो रुकावटें आई, उसके बावजूद इस अभियान की गति कम नहीं पड़ी। इसी निरंतर प्रयास का परिणाम है कि 7 दशकों में जितना काम हुआ था उससे 2 गुने से अधिक काम देश ने पिछले 3 साल में ही कर दिखाया है। ये उसी मानव केंद्रित विकास का उदाहरण है जिसकी बात मैंने इस बार लाल किले से की है। हर घर जल जब पहुंचता है तो सबसे अधिक लाभ हमारी बहनों को होता है, भावी पीढ़ी को होता है। कुपोषण के विरुद्ध हमारी लड़ाई मजबूत होती है। पानी से जुड़ी हर समस्या की सबसे अधिक भुक्तभोगी हमारी माताएं बहनें होती हैं। इसलिए इस मिशन के केंद्र में भी हमारी बहन बेटियां ही है। जिन घरों में शुद्ध पेयजल पहुंचा है वहां अब बहनों का समय बच रहा है। परिवार के बच्चों को दूषित जल की वजह से होने वाली बीमारियां भी कम हो रही है। साथियों, जल जीवन मिशन सच्चे लोकतंत्र का, पूज्य बापू ने जिस ग्राम स्वराज का सपना देखा था उसका भी उत्तम उदाहरण है। मुझे याद है जब मैं गुजरात में था तो कच्छ जिले में माताओं बहनों को पानी से जुड़े विकास कार्यों का दायित्व सौंपा गया था। ये प्रयोग इतना सफल रहा था कि इसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर अवार्ड भी मिला था। आज यही प्रयोग जल जीवन मिशन की भी अहम प्रेरणा है। जल जीवन अभियान सिर्फ सरकारी स्कीम नहीं है,